time, there is no trade that I want them making that does not impact 2020. 4 from Seattle starting tonight. 3 of 4. Otherwise, it is done. 3 of 4 from Seattle. And I know you're saying that's not going to happen, and that's fine, but that's what has to happen. Otherwise, it is over at that point. The only trades I will have interest in making are ones that involve pieces that can come back and be on this team for the next year to 2 to 3 years in terms of control. I'm out on the rental conversation depending on what happens in this Mariners series. That's where I'm at on it. And yeah, I mean, 4.5 back, man. It's the point where they are about to flip. You get north of 5, it's over.
I'm done. I didn't want to, like, honestly, it's not the position I want to be in, and it goes back to the same thing that I would say normally be the case. I hope they shove this in my face. They're cooked. It's over. The Royals are not making the playoffs. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Drew plays back this audio and mocks me in the middle of September. Nothing would actually bring me greater joy than that. But in being one of the people, including yourself and others, who have been trying to, I think, reasonably be patient, because in a 162-game schedule, you should be. Because right now they're on pace for like 76 wins. So what we're talking about is a team that is currently pacing for about 10 games, maybe, less than what I thought their expectation should have been in a 162-game stretch. So they failed in about 5% of their season, worse than I thought they would. Okay, yeah, I don't want to just bury them. I still think that the hitting from last year is a lot of the same guys who were there last year. I still think the pitching is still pretty good. So, like, it's hard to admit that, and that's why I've been as patient as I have been up to June 30th. Hell, I thought I'd get to July, but I think they're done. I just don't think it's a playoff team. If they told me tomorrow they started selling, I'd be okay. And I'd be understanding of that decision versus I had said they can wait to sell. They still can. They don't have to sell.
Yeah, I'll stick with my original timeline, July 10th. What are they on July 10th? I mean, it looks like, again, as I've said over and over, we know where this is likely trending. I push back on the idea, though, that, like, if they wait 7 more days to trade Seth Lugo, they're just going to get way less of value back. I just disagree with that. If they wait till July 29th, yes, they will get way less. But the difference between trading Lugo on June 30th and July 10th, to me, is not the drastic switch that everybody makes it out to be. But yeah, you can't wait till July 29th. That would be foolish at this point in time, if in fact the team ends up where I think they're going to end up now. And you and I likely agree with where this probably goes.
Look, and sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you're the Tigers from last year and you sell and still win. Like, I'm not saying that that'll be the case, but I think at this point, like, you got to be sellers. Like, I don't even want to, on this show, entertain the articles that are like, here are the players they could buy, unless it's for a player with years and years
I don't want
of control.
Eugenio Suarez and those guys. Not when you're not on rentals. Not giving up pieces when you're at this point in time, 4.5 back in the playoff race. So it's just what I'm looking for in trades. That's what has shifted to me with what happened on this homestand, which was a 1-5 homestand between the Rays and the Dodgers. And yeah, they go out west. The Seattle team, by the way, who's in front of them in the wild card standings as well. And that's why I said, unless they unless they shock us and they take 3 of 4 against the Mariners, then yeah, I think it's pretty evident which direction that they're going to need to head in for the future.
Easily the biggest issue is that they can't hit, and we know that. That's not the question. What I still don't, and I think this is what has been the most frustrating thing about this team in particular. The most frustrating part is I watch them be a league average offense with these identical players.
Yeah.
This isn't regression to the mean. This is cratering. So, like, why are you cratering back to this level of offensive performance when I watched these players perform? And I get some of it could just be age. So, like, Salvador Perez coming back to, like, he had a tremendous year last year. And so, like, some of it is that. But not one player should not derail.
But how do you crater back towards a franchise worse offense? It's because it's not just one player. It's because Bobby Witt Jr., who finished second MVP, he's not having a bad season by any means, but he's not having the MVP type season. So that's let's say it's 5 or 10% less Bobby Witt Jr., okay? Salvador Perez, is it 25%, 30% less Salvador Perez this year? Vinny Pasquantino, is it 5% less, 10% less? I know he's been much better, but still runners in scoring position has been a disaster for this team, and obviously that's the area where he's struggled.
He did have that 5 RBI day on Saturday, which was nice.
You know, their big acquisition in the offseason, Jonathan India, we all know he has been disappointing. He hasn't been even at the level that you thought you were going to get from him. And then you knew going into the season that your left and your right fielder on opening day were a question mark. And Neither's on the team right now. And one's not even on any baseball team in any organization in Hunter Renfroe right now. So that's why it's like, how do you not just regress to the mean? Well, it's because I just listed 4 or 5 players that had major setbacks.
And that's why I assume that's why I'm not down on like the future of the organization necessarily. And maybe that's a conversation bigger for later in the week. Where are we moving forward with this team? But like now that I'm looking at Vinny's stats, this is his second best on base percentage of his career in a full season. This is his best batting average, or second best batting average other than his rookie year. So like, I still feel okay.
It's the runners and scoring position numbers.
It's that part. Yeah, that's a huge regression.
It's awful.
And he was they were one of the best teams in the league at doing that over the last couple of years. The thing that I think, and somebody had said like, I'm worried JJ's going to come on the show tomorrow and say what we had heard a little bit a couple of weeks ago, which is, no, we're not selling and we're not there yet and all these other things, because it is not hard. Like if I were a member of the Royals, I'm just giving you the opinion of how I think the season will end. If I were a member, like a player for the Royals, or I'm a front office member of the Royals, this is where you run into the difficult stuff. Players, you just try to win. Okay, whatever. The front office part, they're kind of stuck in a spot because the truth is, in the middle of you struggling, everyone is. The American League has crashed back to earth. Everyone, except the Detroit Tigers, who are the best team in baseball, and the New York Yankees, who are the second best team in the American League. Other than those 2 teams, everyone is incredibly mediocre. Shockingly mediocre. To me, that just makes this season more frustrating. All you had to do was be mediocre in order
like
to
3 games above 500, 2 games above 500. Yep.
You didn't have to be, it didn't need to be superstar stuff up to this point. You just had to tread water. And every time it's like, can you just get, like you said, can you win 3 of 4 Seattle, 6 of 8? Like, you're not asking for, like, I'm not asking to win 15 games in a row. I'm asking for a normal stretch, good and bad teams go throughout the year, like winning 7 of 10, winning, like you said, 3 of 4, and those circumstances in order to crawl back in it. So I don't think the Royals will be quick to sell. I'm not saying they have to be. Like I said, you asked me, like, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Official prediction, they are not going to the playoffs. They will win 76, 77 games, and they will come up short of the expectations that we had for them this year.
Part of the offense, too, and not that he was expected to be the savior, but certainly did not expect this would be the start to his first, 23 games of his career. Let's talk about Jack Caglianone a little bit.
Okay.
He's hitting 165. What his on base is 211. He's got 2 homers, 4 RBI, 20 strikeouts in his big league career. If you compare it to Bobby Wood Jr.'s first 23 games or so, it's worse, but it's not terribly far off. But just to give you an idea of where things were at, Bobby was hitting 229 through 23 games in his career. Caglianone, 1 hit in his last 7 games. That's 27 at-bats, 8 strikeouts at that point in time. I assume our board in here that Dusty updated is correct and everything on there. Am I obviously shocked with the slow start from him? Yeah, but then if we go back to the conversation that we just had where the entire offense has been disappointing, why would I think that the rookie is going to be able to overcome what everybody else is struggling with? You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is why, and I'll say this again, this is the 3rd or 4th straight week. For those that push back when I say, hey, I would have made a hitting coach change, I would have moved on from Alex Zumwalt by now. Some will say, well, what does that solve? That doesn't do anything for you in 2025. 2 things with that. Number one, I think even if you told me it was a short-lived 2 or 3 week burst, wouldn't you like to see what that could do for the standings for the team? Like, even if you want to go back to George Brett when he was like the interim hitting coach, it did not pan out long-term, but for 2 weeks, go back and look. For 2.5 weeks it did. I'd like to see if they could get a little jolt for 2 weeks, considering they're 4.5 back of a playoff spot and the calendar doesn't turn to July until tomorrow. So that's my first pushback on the idea of like, well, that doesn't solve anything. The other part is it's about a long-term decision, and how confident are you about these guys in place to develop your hitting moving forward? And I would be lying to you if I told you I wasn't a little scared of the fact that Jack Caglianone, since he's come to the big league, suddenly just hits ground balls in the infield. What happened with that?
I don't know.
I understand it's big league pitching and there's an adjustment to be made, but yeah, I think that's very concerning for me, what having this current hitting staff around him might mean for his future career. So yeah, it's not just about 2025 why I think they should make a move with the hitting coach.
I'm not here to try to like sugarcoat Jack's first 23 games. It has not gone great. The power hasn't been there. The ground balls obviously are there, and he's striking out a ton. I also didn't think that was out of the question. I just didn't think he had anything left to learn in AAA. He was stuck in a position in Double and AAA that he wasn't going to learn some of the problems that the scouting staff thought he might have had in his swing or his approach and the free swinging nature of it because he was too good for the players he was up against. I kind of thought this was plausible. So, like, do I think that it's time to send Jack Caglianone down? Hell no. Not even close. Not just for the reasons I pointed out that Bobby was pretty bad in his first 23 games. 229 average, as you pointed out, 264 on base, 349 slug. Those are better than Jack Caglianone's numbers, but they're not good numbers. And I could point out Nick Kurtz, who's now hitting, if you just want like a current major league option, or any of the others. Sometimes players come to the big leagues and they struggle right away. And if this was just a random 20-game stretch in a full baseball season, we wouldn't even notice.
100%. But here's the problem. And it's not about him. This is about, again, going with the hitting staff and the development part of it. If the rest of the offense was performing well, Cody, if I had more evidence that they had success with developing hitters, other than I know somebody in the organization would push back and say, oh, we've developed Kyle Isbell. And I mean, no disrespect, even though I guess there's no way of saying this without it seeming that way. You've developed a number 9 hitter. Congratulations. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I'm looking for when I'm talking about developing hitters.
Talking middle of the order guys. Yeah.
Correct. And so, yeah, I would be concerned about Caglianone's development with this current staff. Yes, that is something that I'm worried about. Not necessarily him, but with this staff, because of what I haven't seen in developing, that's why you make the move. And it's not just about the 2025 season for me.
A lot of it is just like, I feel like sometimes you have to do something, and I know that, like, not to just to prove a point, but it doesn't mean that Zumwalt can't, like, this is what's funny about this is, like, I'm not in there, so I can't really tell you for sure. It doesn't even mean that Zumwalt necessarily can't teach hitting or is a good hitting coach. The Royals once fired Kevin Seitzer, who the team was struggling at the time, and he clearly had a very long career being a hitting coach and might be very good at his job.
Turned around the Seattle offense this year, helped at least.
And this goes to, like, NFL head coaches, the reason why, like, the Eagles let go of Andy Reid. Sometimes the message isn't right anymore. I don't even know. It could just be the same guy telling you the same thing.
And I understand they have three different voices when it comes to the hitting staff.
Yeah,
I understand.
Saylor and Zumwalt.
And they have other guys because some guys gel better with others. I totally understand that. So it's not just him, but he's the guy they have propped up for many years, and he is the main name involved in their hitting approach at the big league level, and that's Alex Zumwalt.
It's just gotten, like, the Royals get one game where they score more than the previous, like, 10 games combined on Saturday. And then you're like, every time, and I'm not like lulled into a false sense of security. I don't actually expect it the following day. But I'm like, can we just put together 3 days in a row of quality major league at-bats? I thought they came up short in the runners in scoring position on Friday, but I'm like, quality major league at-bats, okay.
Yeah, we've seen that before, though.
No,
man.
I know.
I mean,
but like,
the Rangers series thought like that was the moment where, okay, maybe things click.
No, but I haven't seen them do 3 days in a row. That's the point.
Yeah.
I've seen single games. I've seen maybe even 2 games put together. But then come Sunday, what happens? They just, nothing. The game fell over the second it was 3-1. You're like, oh, man, I guess no more runs are getting scored today. That's kind of a bummer. And they're just right back to it. But this doesn't, like, the CAG stuff, because look, the truth is, if you're saying, hey, what would it take for you to be like, maybe he needs a breather in AAA again? At this point, because I don't think the team's going to the postseason, there's nothing almost.
I don't think going to the minors does any good for him.
I think solves this problem. Almost nothing. Maybe if he hit like exactly like this for another 6 weeks, I'll entertain it. But until that moment, I'm not really encouraged.
I don't think going to the minors does anything for him. We just got done saying that he was overmatching everybody, or he was he wasn't outmatched. They were outmatched against him in the minors. No, you go through your struggles at the big league level. As long as you don't think mentally he's shot or something like that. But also you send him down. Then what's that to your confidence? If you're this top prospect and you get sent down, we're still talking about 23 games. I know it feels like he's been up for 3 months, but we're still talking about 23 games. And I'll echo it again. If everybody else was hitting and he was the only one struggling, and like then we just got we're talking about the offense being its worst in franchise history. Why do I think the rookie would come up and he'd be the guy that's just hitting? So no, it's not him. This goes back to the whole point about where they're at as a organization when it comes to hitting and development and at the big league level and their approach. And we've talked about the players. Like, this is not to put the pressure
players
off.
Are always more accountable.
To take the pressures off the players. They have just done everything player-wise that I think they can do internally. It is now your offense is where it's at, holding people accountable. And to a certain extent, you have to show that this is not being a franchise worst offense is not acceptable. And I know deep down those guys in the organization are not happy with the way things are going. Of course not. But this notion of like, well, just keep riding it out there and that there are no consequences, at least on the coaching staff level, to what has happened this year and an expectation of you being a playoff team and now it's slipping away. And for a lot of people think it's already over. Yeah, man, that's extremely frustrating. And I would be worried about my long-term development with some of my young prospects. That's all.
Look, I get the fear of like certain guys around certain players and the lack of development over the last couple of years. It's been one of the most frustrating offenses I've ever seen. And for the reasons we mentioned before the season, that I'd mentioned, like consistently scoring runs. I just want to watch the Royals put together a team for 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row that are right in the playoffs or near the playoffs or in the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. And all of that's still on the table. But when the offense can't score, then you start worrying. I did see over the weekend, this show's got another opportunity. Great news. For those who might have missed out on being in a Hallmark movie like Alex, did you see which show appears to be looking for extras in the Kansas City, specifically, I believe, Overland Park area coming up? A show you finally, I believe, got maybe fully caught up on?
Not fully caught up on. No, I'm a couple seasons in. I'm a season behind. I'm not on season 3 yet. You're talking about Ted Lasso, of course.
I am.
And I'm well aware of this casting call. I have already started the process.
Wow. So you've already submitted.
I feel like, I've got the...
Going for another role.
Hollywood, the IMDb page for the Hallmark movie. I figure, why not another role? Why not another role?
Do you have an IMDb page?
No.
If you get a second role,
they charge you. They charge you to do that, by the way.
Like per year?
Yeah, you have to pay for that thing.
What?
Yeah, unless like you're at a high enough level. Yeah, you have to pay. Like if you wanted to start one, you got to pay. I'm not paying.
Well, I can't start one. I don't have any credits.
I'm not paying. So, no, I do not have a page.
So you're once again going to try to be an extra?
Yeah, I submitted. No, I only put
you got the itch, man. You got the acting itch, Drew.
The only dates I put were on the weekend, though, because we got training camp coming up. We're going to be a little busy. So any of the ones that involve weekdays, I'm not missing shows for it. So it'd have to, if I got selected, it would have to fall
miss a show
in.
for it. It's okay.
So, yes, the photos, the application has been submitted to the casting agency for Ted Lasso.
Drew, are you gonna? I have not submitted yet. Are you gonna submit?
I'm shocked you haven't.
I haven't submitted either. No.
I think we all 3 have to do it again. We all 3 did it last time. I think let's see what happens again.
I'm going to be so disappointed when they don't call
How
me
long is the
again.
process?
What do you mean?
To submit?
Yes.
I don't know, 10 minutes.
You got to
probably.
You got to submit like 4 photos, dude. Just 4 photos.
Okay.
Within the last 6 months or 2
I'm
months.
gonna say if this is like a half-hour vetting process. That's too long.
What?
What do you? No.
So you this is like a job interview?
So you set up a profile.
You
set up
for this type of show. Yes.
You set up a profile at this casting agency. You upload 4 photos. You fill out your name, your height, your weight, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then you
so it's just
then
like
you
the
select
other one,
like some of the availability, and then if they'll get back to you if they're actually interested.
Perfect.
That's where we're at.
I am willing to miss this show in order to be on this. So I guess I'm just going to have to just open up. Am I out of town? I don't think I'm out of town for any portion of this.
I
so
guess, yeah.
I'm pretty much wide open availability. What can I say, Ted Lasso?
Wait, what is the window?
So the key with what they said is you can select one of the background roles. They don't want you applying for like 8 of them. So like whatever date and whatever, it'll tell you like, do they need people eating at a barbecue restaurant? Do they need people being referees or whatever? Like, so you can only pick one of those days that you select, Cody, and apply.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was the
log
whole
in
thing.
here.
What role did you apply for? Or do you not want to say?
Do you not want to
wait. I'll just wait, and so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh, interesting. It's a secret, huh?
He doesn't want either of us taking the spot. I mean, there's
I think we should all 3 apply again.
Okay.
I told Cody it's weekends only, so that gives him an idea.
Yeah, it does. Weekends only, huh? Okay. I'm opening up whatever. They won't let me just select them all.
No,
I'll do any of these things.
No, they specifically on the thing. It'll let you select more, but they request that you only select one background role. That was the whole blurb that they sent out.
What are the roles? Like ref?
Well, it's background stuff. So like you would in one of them you would be acting if you're a coach or a referee. There's somewhere you're just in a restaurant. There was another one where they were looking for if any twins 6 months to 12 months old. If anybody has twins, 6 months to 12 months. Yeah.
6 months. So babies. Man.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Otherwise, you could qualify.
That's right. Yeah. No.
That would have been pretty epic.
Someone says, if we pay for your IMDb page, can we make stuff up about you? How many Emmys do you want? That's funny. That's funny. No, you have to pay for that, which is crazy. Crazy.
Okay. Well, I think the show should once again apply. I think Drew should apply. I'll apply, and we'll find out if any of us get selected.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. We'll see what happens if somebody gets in. That would be pretty impressive. In a calendar year, if we had 2 people, or 3, I guess, on this show that got into 2 different
all 3 of us
shows or movies
in different roles. That'd be wild.
It'd be hilarious.
Okay. I'm going to prepare accordingly.
Yeah. Send your photos in, man. Send your photos in. Can you have the text line choose your photos? Can you at Twitter pick your photos, Cody, that you send in?
It's going to make it way less likely for me to get in, I'm going to say. Don't you think?
Someone says you guys are aiming too low. If the rumors are true that the new season will focus on women's soccer, which that is the rumor, maybe they need a local sports radio team to talk about the team's struggles and high points.
In all honesty, yeah.
That didn't seem like a role they were offering.
I think they got that covered. Yeah. They have stand-ins and background or whatever is what they have. So
yeah, I think they're cast real actors for that job.
I mean, this is a legit show.
I do think I could play a sports radio host on TV. I would just do this job.
Someone says, reminder, Cody, this is not a musical. You do not need to prepare a song for this tryout or for audition.
A lot of shows do a musical episode.
Well, I think that honestly, if they needed a radio group to talk about it, why not use the real thing where you guys? Why would you need somebody to act like it when they can just come here to the studio? I think the story is, women's soccer team. He's coming back. Isn't the rumor that he's in season 4? He's coming back to the United States or something, and he's going to coach this women's soccer team. I don't know. I believe so. It's a lot of rumors. So I haven't finished season 3, so I got to see what happens. We might have to send an email. We're going to get Sadikas to come in studio, and we're going to record a little bit.
I'm sure he'll just come right in. He's not busy at all.
Absolutely. To be a part of the show, if it works, I think so.
He's very difficult to get in touch.
Is this thing asking for my shoes size?
Yes.
Oh man,
that's just the casting profile because they do other things. I don't
know how many inches my neck is.
Oh, I didn't put in those measurements.
It says it's required.
No, it's not.
Oh,
no, it's not. That's just your general profile.
Oh, okay.
I did not measure my neck.
Okay. All right. I'll figure this out. You didn't measure your neck for this.
I did not.
Well, what if they want to know?
Then just give an estimate. You think it's,
just give an
17?
What's a normal
15 and a half? 17? Anyway. All right. Up next. We were not here on Friday. We were doing our football planning for the fall. We got some exciting stuff coming up this football season. So we didn't get a chance to talk about the latest updates on the stadium front and what does it all mean. We'll do that plus a big trade in the NFL today.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Gear up, race fans. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend is roaring into Iowa Speedway July 11th to the 13th, featuring the only NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader weekend on the 2025 schedule. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend has become one of the most anticipated and action-packed events in racing. Tickets are going fast. Score yours today and get ready to feel the rush at the fastest short track on the planet. Visit IndyCar@Iowa.com for tickets. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend at Iowa Speedway, the ultimate summer racing event.
Going out to eat just got a serious upgrade, Kansas City. 30 Hop is your new go-to. An American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. Now open in Lee Summit and just opened at Miriam's Grand Station. As the proud lunch partner of the Cody and Gold Show, 30 Hop truly has something for everyone. Stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour. 30hop.com. That's 30hop.com. Local beer, American Eats, big patio.
What we love about our ability to help patients at QC Kinetics is seeing their pure delight at finally being able to do the things they enjoy without pain.
I had a patient start treatment with me. He wanted to be able to be active again and do some of his sports that he really enjoyed.
Dr. Ashley Caravelli, a medical director for QC Kinetics, treats patients with chronic joint pain using their body's own biologics. The goal? Get them back to living their best lives without surgery or harmful drugs.
He came back and he goes, what I wasn't expecting was the ability opportunity to play on the floor with my grandchildren. Even just saying it now, I have goosebumps because it's changing those small moments that you take for granted.
Don't let joint pain rob you of those moments. See if you're a candidate for QC Kinetics regenerative treatments.
It just warms my heart to be able to help people live the life they want to live and get those small moments back.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Hi, I'm Dustin, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. If you're shopping for an engagement ring, we want you to feel like a kid in a candy store. All of our diamonds are in stock, in-store and online, so you get to use your eyes, not your imagination. Come in and look at marquee-shaped diamonds right next to ovals and pears. As your friend and jeweler, you can trust you'll get your dream diamond at an everyday competitive price. We have the widest selection in-store and at shaneco.com. Because a friend knows choosing a diamond is personal. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-251-5642. 800-251-5642. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-251-5642.
If Twisted Tea was your best friend, they'd start a dance party in the supermarket that turns into a pool party at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea is smooth, refreshing, and always fun. Twisted Tea Hard-Ass Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
DQ presents How to Make Your Summer Take Flight. Just head into DQ for a new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard Treat. Treat your inner hero to an epic mix of sugar cookie dough, sprinkles, and cake batter flavor. Blend it all with legendary DQ soft serve, and it's enough to tempt Superman himself. Fly into DQ for our new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard Treat before it's gone. And don't miss Superman, only in theaters July 11th. DQ, happy tastes good. Only at participating locations.
If Twisted Tea was your best friend, they'd start a dance party in the supermarket that turns into a pool party at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea is smooth, refreshing, and always fun. Twisted Tea Hard-Ass Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Give me those sauces. Grab the chicken strips. Let's dunk them in there. There's nothing like it. Hey, I'm Joey. And I'm Josh. And we're team members at our local Chick-fil-A. And a little thing you'll love about the Chick-fil-A chicken strips is dipping them in our sauces. My sauce is the barbecue sauce. If you wanted to add sweet, tangy flavors, there's nothing like it. I love the garden herb ranch sauce, but if you want a little bit more kick in the spicy side, you can mix it with buffalo sauce. Dipping them in our sauces, it is perfection.
It's the summer of Chick-fil-A chicken strips and sauces. Order now on the Chick-fil-A app. Team members paid for their testimonials.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 7/20/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Brought to you by Gomers. 5 locations in the KC Metro or online at gomers.com.
Summertime is fun time, and that means it's Gomers time. Voted #1 KC liquor shop and family owned since 1969, Gomers Fine Wines and Spirits. Stop by one of their 5 locations. You'll be glad you did.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to have to get to something that we all noticed during the break. It's something that some of you have already texted in about. It's something that, in particular, Drew, I think, would be the most excited of the group.
This just made my day. I'm excited.
But I have to admit, if this actually was a thing, and this is more than just a little tease, then I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled to bring back some good memories, kind of like what we had last summer with a certain video game. So we'll get to that news maybe, or at least the teasing of that announcement in just a second. But we were out planning on Friday, getting set for football season. Every show is doing this at the station. The morning show did theirs a couple Fridays ago, and getting set for our training camp plan. We think some fun ideas we've got for training camp, some things we're looking forward to doing this fall as well that are involve you guys. And so just getting things set up for another football season here on Cody and Gold. While that was going on the night before, the Kansas City Chiefs put out a release to the Kansas legislature, and I guess it was a joint kind of letter with the legislator, which was about the extension of the Star Bonds. Now, that in its own right is not surprising. We thought that they would likely extend the Star Bonds
but that they were asking
June 30th. But it was a formal request. The fact that it's been extended till the end of 2025, the Chiefs seeking that extension. And I'm not going to read you the full statement, all right? I'm not going to bore you with that. You can read the full statement if you would like. But basically, in the letter, Mark Donovan, Chiefs team president, wrote, quote, "We are excited about the potential for this project, which would represent the largest economic development initiative in the state's history. Just as important, the presence of an NFL franchise in Kansas will serve as a powerful engine for immediate and long-term growth, driving national attention, sustained tourism, billions more in private development across the state." This does not mean that they are going to Kansas. It just keeps their options, open at this point in time, which is now it sounds like till the end of the year. So has the deadline for the Chiefs been pushed back? Yeah, it's been pushed back. I think this gives them an opportunity if they want to pursue the renovation and it requires a November ballot. This gives them a fallback plan. That's one way to look at it. That, hey, if things went south in November, if in fact they pursue that avenue, then, well, you have maybe Kansas's Star Bond package still, and you could just accept that at the end of the year. The other part is still like maybe they haven't made up their decision truly, and that they are waiting, and there's no reason to close the door on it yet until you know 100% that this is the option that you want to take.
Make no mistake about this. This is a threat, and I am about 99% sure that the ad campaign from the Chiefs for a November ballot, which is what I think will all happen here, is I believe, Gold, that they will come on here and they will say, vote for this or we're leaving. Here you go, Jackson County. Vote for this or we're gone. That's what I actually think is going to take place. I think this is like, hey, we're on our own now. We're leaving you outside of this. Either you can vote for this or we're going to take off. And that's up to you guys. And then the Chiefs are like, we're no fault here at all. We have told you again, we will stay here, given the opportunity, given the chance to do so. We're planning, come on, just give us a chance. We'll stay, but you have to vote for it in order to do it. That's what I think this entire setup and play is for, which is
leverage is being used for sure.
And leverage is being used certainly outside of that. And I think the Royals are a lot closer to just saying, this is where we're going. And I really do think, even though, I know it could still go a couple different ways, I'm pretty sure that they're going to try to squeeze a November ballot. They're going to take the Missouri money, and just as long as Jackson County gives them the money they want for a renovation, Arrowhead will live all on its own down there. The question I still have is, were the Royals the biggest problem with that vote? Or now that the threat of leaving is more real, will the Royals have to accept Kansas's money to make it seem more likely? Let's just say the Royals announce they're going to stay in Missouri. Mm-hmm. I don't care where.
Yeah.
Is it 16 points different just not having the Royals on it? Or because they're like, we're going to take the Kansas money if you don't vote for it. Is that enough to swing the vote? That's the part I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I mean, well, then the other part of the equation would still be, and I guess the correct answer is, hey, initially you were trying to be transparent about the process, et cetera, but if the Royals end up just going to Washington Square Park, and if it's true that they don't need a public vote to get the city claims to move some money around to make it work, well, then it's like, well, why did you even go through with the whole process for the public vote to begin with the very first time? You were trying to go through the public process. I get it. That's probably the answer. But you could have saved yourself a lot of this mess and everything if you just would have settled on it initially. But I think, it's leverage. I mean, if you were a Jackson County resident, you guys can text in. Tell us. I don't live in Jackson County. You tell me. 913-586-7965. If you knew, let's say the Chiefs went to a November ballot for a renovated Arrowhead. If you knew 2 months prior to that the Royals said they were leaving for Kansas, would that make you even more likely or likely at all to vote for the Chiefs, knowing that, hey, you already, quote-unquote, lost a team? Sure. Would you want to risk losing both kind of thing. And for the record, I don't think both teams are going to Kansas. I would be shocked at that at this point in time. I really would. I think one is staying in Missouri. Which one? We can debate back and forth. Everybody's trying to guess a little bit.
I don't think they're losing both, but,
I told you, though, I think you and I are on the same page on this in general. I have never, as much as I love Arrowhead, totally love it. First sporting venue I've ever been to in my life. I've gone to more games there than any other sports venue in my entire life. I don't get putting $1 billion, or actually now it's $1.4 billion, I guess, on the proposed renovation towards a stadium of its age. It doesn't make any sense to me. But we all know some of the debate for the Hunt family is that, hey, this is their legacy. Their dad obviously brought the team, built this. That's a whole different conversation for them than it is from those on the outside. And I know there's a lot of you listening that are dead set on them staying at Arrowhead too. So this is why it's a debated topic for a reason. It's a tough decision to make. I'm just saying personally, I don't believe in putting $1.4 billion into a stadium of that age. But that is just me. So I've always preferred a new stadium.
But you'd probably still, if you lived in Jackson County, you'd probably still vote for it versus them.
Oh, I would have voted for it last April.
Yeah. I guess, and that's where I kind of want to know where the fans are, at least on this end. But I think that they're going to make, maybe not. Maybe they think that'll be too off-putting to their fans. This all feels like the setup for voter, we're leaving. And just telling Kansas, we're leaving. Or at the very least, maybe that's not the ad campaign, Gold. Maybe they don't sit up in an ad and
they're
be
not
like,
going to have it as blunt as that.
November, if you don't vote, we're going to Kansas. But I can tell you all, I feel like at the very least, there'll be people like Nate Taylor or Matt Evans or the people who've been consistently reporting on this stuff saying the thought internally is if this vote fails, they're just going to take the Kansas money and build their stadium there.
I think it'd be very obvious. I think most people would be able to infer that without, they don't have to have even a blunt version of the campaign.
But why not do it blunt? If that's what your plan is, that's how you really get the vote passed.
Because as much as it's implied, you don't publicly in a campaign from a PR perspective want to threaten your voters and your fans. That's why.
You're saying that would go over poorly.
Yes.
Okay. Look, I get it. Someone says I'm voting for it regardless. The economic good of the stadiums. Or I'm not voting. Wait, I am voting for them regardless. The economic good of the stadiums is a lie, according to them. Look, here's the part. The one part where I'm kind of torn on this is I do think that they inflate the numbers. I'm not going to try to pretend that that's the case. I think they try to do it. I really don't think that it could just be like an entire mess of an economic situation in fairness if given that all these cities and municipalities and states go for it. Does that make some sense, right? It can't be like a total economic disaster if every state, every city, every county is constantly fighting for these teams.
Yeah, look, I think we've looked at other events. If it wasn't for Arrowhead, just even as it is currently, and they already have renovated, as we all know, one time. If that renovation didn't occur, the World Cup would not be coming next summer. If the airport wasn't done, the World Cup would not be coming. And if the airport maybe doesn't get done, if the draft's not coming. My point is that the fact that the Chiefs exist in the state of Missouri is why other events and other things have come to the city. It's not just directly the Chiefs on a Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead, what money that brings in terms of travel. It is everything else around it. I would also say that in the Chiefs case, we all know the 1% earnings tax. It's not Jackson County, right? That's a KCMO 1% earnings tax. That is real money that walks out the door across the state if they were to leave, right? If they were to leave. That is money you're never making up. That's not just football, as you know, Cody. That's concert performers' revenue or income. That's 1% of all the 1% of everything, that is happening there at Arrowhead, basically, from a athlete, a performer, etc.
All that stuff moves to the other side of the state line and obviously has some sort of economic benefit in order to, these teams or these states and these counties in order to do.
Someone says you have no idea what Jackson County did to its taxpayers. No, we've talked plenty about the personal property mess. And I believe, in terms of Frank White, I believe they're 200 or 300 signatures away from trying to get the recall thing going. I have no idea how that's going to turn out. But no, we've talked about the ridiculously of property taxes and how that has played a role in this, for sure. It's something we brought up before.
Nobody here is making an argument that Jackson County, and that's, again, why I think it's a tough climb. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I don't think it's a sure 100% that it passes in November if they went back to a ballot.
I think
only.
The Chiefs seem, I guess this is the arrogance of it. The Chiefs seem to think that the issue is that the Royals were gumming up the works And I'm not saying that the Royals weren't part of the reason they lost, because their lack of information on their downtown site and choosing the less popular downtown site and some of the noise that came with that obviously played some sort of factor in this. But no, I also just don't think that – I thought the Chiefs' renovation plan was equally as big a part of the problem. So unless they're planning on revealing, and I think they are, a more fan-friendly or popular plan to renovate Arrowhead, I don't think it's going to pass. I think if they just roll out the same bag of bones they just did, and they're like, here's a concrete pathway, a tarp over the top of the upper deck, and a bunch of suites, I don't think it'll pass. I think they better come with something else.
Well, this renovation, they've already the 1.4 is a significant increase from the renovation plan last April. That's also the difference too.
Some of that's just cost too, right?
Sure, some of it is, but that's a significant increase from the renovation that they proposed back in April of 2024.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, how different is it going to look in your mind?
We'll talk more about the stadium stuff a little bit later on as well. But that was we were just getting caught up on it as we were not here on Friday. Wanted to give some thoughts on that. We'll take your text, 913-586-7965. There was a rare trade in the NFL that went down, and I guess has just gone down, and there's even more details continuing to come out every couple minutes with this one. We do not see player-for-player trades, and there's some picks involved too, but player-for-player trades in the NFL very often. Like, you just don't. I wish we did, because it's fun. You just don't see it in the
very
NFL.
Fun.
Adam Schefter has the latest details, so here's where we're at. It involves the Steelers and the Dolphins. And there were rumors for a while about Jonnu Smith. There were some rumors about Jalen Ramsey. Where would he end up? Here's the final details, according to Schefter, in today's trade. The Steelers have traded for Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, the tight end, and a 7th-round pick in 2027. The Dolphins get Minkah Fitzpatrick, the safety, who once was a member of the Miami Dolphins, and a 2027 5th-round pick. So they swap 2027 picks. They swap Minkah for Jalen, and then the Steelers also got Jonnu Smith. Jalen Ramsey is going to make $26 million this year. He's 30. He's 30 years old. Yeah, the Steelers, we all know they went with Aaron Rodgers. It's a 1-year all-in type of an approach. Does this trade not happen if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign there? Like, if you told me that they were rolling into the season with Will Howard and what's his name, Mason Rudolph, let's say, would they have traded for Jalen Ramsey? Because this feels like it's, all right, we're giving it a go here. We're giving it a go. We've been stuck at 10 wins. Does this move the needle for you, though? Because
it's still Aaron Rodgers. The core of your plan is a 40-year-old quarterback.
It's just still they're in the AFC North, one of the most difficult divisions in football. You still have, the third-best quarterback in your division, right? Because you got Lamar and Burrow that exist. So you got the third-best quarterback in your division. That Steelers team has been stuck in the same spot. I looked, by the way, the odds have not shifted. They still are the same odds to win the Super Bowl and all that as they were prior to this move today.
I mean, that makes sense, because I would think more it's about the other side of it than anything else. But, it doesn't move the needle, other than my biggest takeaway kind of from the way that this is structured is that they want a reason to fire Mike Tomlin. And they don't have a reason if his quarterback is Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett or Russell Wilson on a $2 million deal. Because based on that quarterback situation, he is exceeding expectations. Like, as of the quarterbacks he's had since Ben Roethlisberger, he's actually exceeded expectations for what he would be expected to do. And what they're doing here is a last gasp of sorts of, all right, we'll give you all the guys you want. Here's Jalen Ramsey. You got TJ Watt to go with him. We got the whole crew for you. And what we're going to do here is we're going to give you everybody in play. And if it goes south again this year, well, then we're going to blow the whole thing up. We're going to get the new quarterback in the draft, but we're also going to get the new coach, get the new everything, and we're just going to start from scratch.
Oh, if they only
it feels
win,
like this is about Tomlin in a lot of ways than just like, let's give Aaron Rodgers everything.
Yeah, Tomlin's never been below 500, but if you told me with this approach that they won 7 or 8 games this season, then I think it would be best for everybody to part ways and just blow the entire thing up. Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of Steelers fans that were wanting them to do that for a couple of years because they are stuck just in this mediocrity. They're stuck. They're a 9 to 10 win, 11 win team most years. Heck, even the year where they surprised everybody and won, what was it? A couple of years ago, they won like 12 or 13 games. We all were like, yeah, that team is not that team is not going to actually be a contender when they got off to that great start a couple of years ago. So I think Pittsburgh doesn't really change. I think they're, once again, like a 10-win football team this year. That's kind of where they're at. If they shock the world and they win the AFC North and win 13 games, okay, let's have a different conversation. That requires Aaron Rodgers going back to playing at an MVP level, in my opinion. For them to win the division, he would have to roll back the clock to 2021 or really 2019 if we're being real. That's what he would have to be.
I don't disagree, but also, look, that's not out of the question. I do think Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago still showed enough skill that maybe there's some, like, I don't know, hidden potential in his game. But it's not going back to the MVP level, which means average quarterback play. I will just tell you that I thought they got not way off, certainly below, but not way off average quarterback play last year for Russell Wilson. So it's not like, oh no, what are they going to do? It's just, I feel like they're looking for, this sounds silly, because I know that no team would ever say this. I think that they want a public answer for why we would let go of Tomlin. For an organization that's
I think there's fan base. I think a lot of
three head coaches in there. Yeah, but just as an organization,
man.
I think they have just a personal philosophy that they've got to like try everything before they let go of a coach. The previous two coaches didn't even get fired. The previous two coaches quit. They retired. Chuck Noll won a bunch and retired. Bill Cowher won a bunch and retired. They've never even actually fired a head coach before. And so this is
one
the
of the most successful franchises in sports history.
And this is one of those ways of just being like, okay, we gave it everything. We gave it everything. So I feel like it's more about Tomlin than let's get the organization back to where we believe, because they're probably lining up for another, what I think to be another mediocre season of, we went 10-7. We were the 6 or 7 seed in the NFL playoffs. We lost in round 1 to the Chiefs or Bills or Ravens, whoever.
That's who they are.
And then just tear it all down anyway. I feel like it's a test for Tomlin more than it is about winning it with Rodgers or getting the best defense possible or that stuff.
It is a little bit odd that they're not. That they're trying to do it in a year where the quarterback class is stronger than it has been in, particularly this past season.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's a lot of Steelers fans out there that would have suggested they kind of just tear this thing down, and instead of middling around 10 wins every season with no real chance to win a Super Bowl, that, hey, deal with it for a year or so. It's rough, but go get your franchise quarterback and move forward. And they've refused to do that. And Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach. I'll push back on, like, they're testing Mike Tomlin. I don't know if I agree with that notion. I hear you on the, hey, they're apparently like all in. This is hey, we got Rodgers, so let's go and get Mike Tomlin, a pretty good duo at corner with Porter Jr. and now Ramsey, although I liked Minkah Fitzpatrick as a safety quite a bit. And they traded for him. They loved him at the time. So I don't know what happened with Fitzpatrick.
Maybe he just didn't want to be in Pittsburgh anymore.
Maybe so. But I don't think, like, it's not a Mike Tomlin has to prove to us. Like, they clearly, I mean, otherwise Mike Tomlin would have been gone a couple years ago. I mean, I think this is just, let's give it one more shot here. And if this whole philosophy as an organization doesn't work again, maybe the Rooney family, are they finally ready to tear it all down? I'm with you in that regard. But, like, Mike Tomlin doesn't have to prove anything to that organization, the ownership. Otherwise, he would have been gone years ago.
Does it change anything for your Bengals, Drew? Sorry, I was going to say, does it change anything for Cincinnati? AFC North is a tough division.
It's just
although the Browns are a joke.
It's just the AFC North is finding a way. I mean, the Steelers did it with drafting Harmon. Then you got the Ravens getting Jair Alexander. It's like, why can't they sign somebody who's just like it's a nothing burger?
But this just sounds like
you know?
You're jealous that teams are good at football operations.
That's
like it doesn't sound like
that's part of it.
They're better at drafting and signing free agents.
That is definitely part of it.
Than Cincinnati is. You're not even talking about like the Packers just happen to get like quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. Like they just never miss, right? Just hits.
No, for my entire life, I have hated the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's not because I hate them because they're always so good, and it's such a hassle to beat them every single year.
Even Russell Wilson, they were in the playoffs, and Cincinnati wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
they find a way, and it's Mike Tomlin. You know, it's Mike Tomlin.
Look, I don't think Tomlin would have a hard time getting a job.
He would get a job immediately.
Oh yeah.
If Mike Tomlin got fired, it'd be an Andy Reid situation. Some team would be backing up the Brinks truck, telling him, "Do not leave this town. Do not leave this city."
The Tennessee Titans. You're our coach. If things don't go well in year 1 with Cam Ward, this is now year 2 of Callahan or whatever his name is as their head coach.
Brian Callahan.
Brian Callahan.
Right, yeah, Bill's his dad, right? So Brian Callahan. If they win 5 games this year and Cam Ward is they would fire he's probably getting fired after the season. And if Mike Tomlin got fired, Tennessee would be idiots not to try to hire Mike Tomlin in that scenario. It's the NFL. There'll be 5 openings. We don't know who they are. We think the Giants might open up after this year. Like if we were to go through right now, quick exercise, Most likely Dable's out after this year.
Yeah.
All right. They're starting Russell Wilson at quarterback. I think Tennessee could have an opening after this year, after 2 years of Callahan. So there's 2 jobs right there. No jobs are opening up in the AFC West. Okay.
Cowboys could be open.
Cowboys' job, I think, is the one.
It would have to, I think with Scheidenheimer, who just got, it would have to be like ugly.
Stefanski on the hot seat?
Ugly.
I think they would fight.
Stefanski is on the hot seat.
I think they, if the Cowboys go 10-7, they lose in the first round, they'd fire Schottenheimer to get to Mike Tomlin.
I think Steichen could get
fired. To get to Mike Tomlin.
To get to Mike Tomlin, I think they would fire.
I'm just trying to talk about what jobs are going to open up.
I think Steichen could get fired.
Yes, that's another one.
In year 2, I think McDermott, if they came up short of expectations,
I don't think
if they ever have a 9-win year,
they're not with Josh Allen, not with Josh Allen.
And
Zach Taylor,
the division's not.
Another bad September.
Zach Taylor misses the playoffs again. You tell him his ass isn't on.
Another bad September. Another 9-win season.
I think it would take them only winning like 5 games to fire Zach Taylor.
McDaniel. I mean, these are all possibilities. I'm not saying any of these
Miami could open up. Yeah.
I'm not saying any of these are definitive firings. I'm just saying all those jobs could come open depending on what the season.
They're on the watch list, the hot seat, if you will. We'll get to. We ran out of time there a little bit. I wanted to get to the tweet that Drew was very excited about.
We can talk about it on the other side.
Yeah, there's a tweet that might signal something is about to happen for the first time in would it be like 12 years?
When the game comes out, it will have almost been 20.
Okay. All right, so we'll get to that.
Well, I almost kind of was a.
He doesn't know yet.
You're good. You're good.
When it's released, you know what? I'm not even going to try.
You're good. You're good. All right. Up next, though, we'll get to that tweet, and we'll also talk about some of these quarterbacks in the AFC West, plus another sports betting controversy in the NBA. That's coming up here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Summertime, which means sitting out on your deck. Maybe you need a new deck. Maybe you've been dreaming of that backyard. Maybe you need a repair. All-weather decks. It's Kansas City's most respected deck builder and a 24-time winner of Angie's List Super Service Award. All-weather decks has the right deck at the right price. Doesn't matter the type of work you're looking for. Wood deck, composite deck, pergola. Look, I've got 4 decks in the house. You think I don't know about decking? This is certainly the company you want to trust. Easy process. They've got a showroom if you want to look through the process. Gave you a checkbox of every single thing, right? So you go through the process and you're like, all right, here's a feature I want, don't want, change this. They make it so easy to customize it for exactly what you want. So if you've been looking at that dream deck or looking at repairs on your outdoor area, All-Weather Decks is the call. Give them a call, 913-206-1974 or allweatherdecks.net.
Having unexpected car trouble or just in a car accident? You need Jay's Southland Tow Service. They have over 20 years of experience servicing the KC Metro. They specialize in light, medium, and heavy duty, as well as commercial transport and construction equipment. Keep this number handy, 816-779-4869 or southlandtow.com. Use the tow service trusted by most local police departments, Jay's Southland Tow Service. There's nothing they can't do, so be in the know and use Jay's Southland Tow.
Going out to eat just got a serious upgrade, Kansas City. 30 Hop is your new go-to. An American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. Now open in Lee's Summit and just opened at Miriam's Grand Station. As the proud lunch partner of the Cody and Gold Show, 30 Hop truly has something for everyone. Stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour. 30hop.com. That's 30hop.com. Local beer, American Eats, big patio.
Hi there, I'm Charlie. And I'm Carter. Our dad is Rex with Rex Buys KC. If you're thinking about selling a home in Kansas City and don't know where to start, our dad can help. Sometimes life throws curveballs, like moving for a new job, dealing with a divorce, or inheriting a house you weren't expecting. Dad doesn't just make offers, he talks with people to help them understand all of their options. No pressure, and it doesn't cost anything to talk with his team. He's a local home buyer who really knows Kansas City. If selling to him is the right choice, he'll give you a fair cash offer, and you can close on your timeline even in as little as 7 days. He buys homes in any condition. No need for repairs, no fees, no surprises. Just an honest, easy process so you feel good about your decision. Want to talk to him? Call 816-330-6000 or go to rexbuyskc.com. Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
At Odyssey, we believe in creating a diverse and inclusive workforce. We also value the power of community and encourage local organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our stations. If you're a community organization interested in receiving our vacancy information, simply email equalemployment@odyssey.com. You'll be notified of all our open positions. That's equalemployment@odyssey.com. And for all our listeners, please visit odysseyinc.com/careers for a list of job openings at all Odyssey radio stations.
The 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, and it starts at Hy-Vee. They have all of our grilling favorites like prime reserve steaks, chicken, ribs, and Hy-Vee's famous specialty brats. And then, of course, the side dishes, potato or pasta salad, fruit, veggie, fiesta party trays, and all sorts of desserts like themed cookies, cakes, and cupcakes. And don't forget about the wine and spirits department. Hy-Vee has a huge selection of wine, craft beer, seltzer, and spirits. Get all your 4th of July needs only at Hy-Vee.
Let the celebration begin this week at Hy-Vee. Just 5 days to save big on everything you need for the perfect 4th of July. Load up the grill with tender pork loin ribs, just $2.99 a pound. Add party-size Frito-Lay chips for $3.99. Coke or Pepsi 8-pack bottles and 12-pack cans, just $3.99. And whole seedless watermelon, only $3.98 each. Stock up on your favorite beer, seltzer, wine, or spirits, and get the party started this Wednesday through Sunday only at Hy-Vee.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying forwarded. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
In a world parched for excitement, Twisted Tea's your refreshing thrill ride of flavor. The hard iced tea that's smooth, made with real brewed tea and 5% alcohol. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
DQ presents How to Make Your Summer Take Flight. Just head into DQ for a new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard Treat. Treat your inner hero to an epic mix of sugar cookie dough, sprinkles, and cake batter flavor. Blend it all with legendary DQ soft serve, and it's enough to tempt Superman himself. Fly into DQ for our new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard Treat before it's gone. And don't miss Superman, only in theaters July 11th. DQ, happy tastes good. Only at participating locations.
In a world parched for excitement, Twisted Tea's your refreshing thrill ride of flavor. The hard iced tea that's smooth, made with real brewed tea and 5% alcohol. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Subscribe to the 249 Miles of College Football podcast with new episodes released on Wednesdays. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Oh, I knew Drew was going to fire that thing up. Little March Madness theme. That's because...
It feels weird on June 30th.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. But there was some news, or at least a teaser. EA Sports, creators, of course, of the college football video game, Madden, etc., they tweeted out, "Bring the madness. Let's run it back. Hashtag CBB. Hashtag it's in the game," with a photo of a basketball in the EA Sports logo on it. That has led everybody to speculate that perhaps, just like they brought back college football and the NCAA football, maybe, just maybe, we're going to get an NCAA basketball or a EA Sports college hoops game. There's an actual report.
There's a report. Chris Vanini, or according to Matt Brown, Chris Vanini gave him the credit. 2028. Still a little bit of time, but
2028.
2028. There's going to be men's and women's teams in the game.
That's so long.
It's a long wait.
I'm intrigued because you brought up the point as we were talking over break when the news first came out. There's 360 plus teams.
That's a lot.
I don't know how they're going to get all of them in the game. And maybe that's why they need as much time as they do. Who knows? But I can't remember how early the college football game was announced compared to when it was released. 2 years?
It was a 2-year head. So they now say like delayed it a year or whatever. So that would make sense, but that'd be awesome. By then we might have 80 or 90 teams in the NCAA tournament field too. So you never know. Yeah. By the time the game comes out. So that would be fun. We're years and years down the road, but that's exciting. If you guys know all the energy that was around last year's college football video game release, the new game this year doesn't have the same buzz because we didn't have to wait a decade for it like we did before. So the basketball game would have some of the similar buzz, although college basketball is still not nearly at the level of college football, so it wouldn't be quite the same. But that's something that certainly caught our attention.
Would have been nearly 20 years that a game would have come out because the last one to come out was 2009.
Blake Griffin, right?
10, yep,
Wasn't Blake Griffin on the cover?
That's right.
I used to do the dynasty mode, whatever they called it on that game back then with your ruse, Cody.
Dynasty.
I tried to get the ruse to the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history, man.
Did it work?
Yes.
Oh,
did.
nice.
It did.
You know how video games, you can
the Roos were undefeated one season, Cody, heading into the NCAA tournament.
Undefeated?
That's how we. By the way, we still were only. I say we in that season. Still, were only like a 12 seed.
I'll say what?
Well, yeah, because they didn't play anybody.
I mean, still though,
They
you're
didn't play
undefeated.
anybody.
No love.
They didn't play anybody.
No love for the Roos, even though you're undefeated.
Didn't play anybody.
Tough, but fair, I guess, at least on that end.
We'll get to the trash of the day here in about 15 minutes or so, but we had talked about the AFC West a little bit last week, just in relation to some of the comments nationally about where this division could end up, and obviously where the wide receivers stack up in this division. But let's take a look at the quarterbacks some more too, and the ceiling for some of these guys right now.
I guess the way I looked at this is I actually saw this from an account, maybe the 33rd team, Gold, talking about the second and third year quarterbacks. And because you and I were talking the other day about those quarterbacks and what did that look like for the more clutch version of those players, it got me thinking a little bit about what this meant for the other ones. Because they were asking a question, what is the floor and the ceiling for those available guys and what could it look like? So I was asking the question instead about the guys in the division. I think two are actually fairly easy answers because I think this tells you about where the division is going and what you expect out of the division over the next 10 years or 5 years. Hell, let football short. Okay. Let's say 5 years. All right, floor and ceiling. Let's get to the easy ones first because then there's the more complicated conversations. Floor and ceiling for Patrick Mahomes. The ceiling is greatest quarterback to ever walk.
Still is. Yep.
On the face of the planet. That's still his absolute ceiling. Still not less likely after the Super Bowl loss this year, but still absolutely plausible. What's the floor at this point?
Top 3 quarterback of all time.
Say, one of the 5 best quarterbacks to ever play the sport? Great. So his floor and ceiling speaks for itself. We don't have to think too hard about that. We don't even have to get into a debate about what style of quarterback they are. Geno Smith, and they were doing direct player comps, which I think becomes interesting as far as career goes. Geno Smith's absolute ceiling, I think, for a career comp is Alex Smith. That's if it went as good as I said ceiling. Yeah. As good as humanly possible. His problem is his floor is out of the league in 2 years, as in not a starting quarterback, 36 months from now. That's what I feel like his floor still is. I still think he could have the kind of career where, you played a long time, you were a good quarterback for a long time. Congratulations on some mild success. A la the Alex Smith career. Is there a ceiling better than that you think it is, or worse?
No, I don't think there's a ceiling better than that. That's a pretty high ceiling, I still think, for him. 2 guys that were both obviously top picks. Geno Smith flamed out. What makes it more impressive with him is
it took him longer to come back than Alex Smith.
Yeah, he completely flamed out and then worked his way up. Had a great year in Seattle and earned himself some nice money. And then now he, of course, is in Vegas with his old head coach and Pete Carroll. I think the floor for Geno, I don't know if it's out of the league. It's just that he's a backup once again in this league. You know what I mean?
He's not a starter.
I think he's done enough
to
now.
Joe Flaccoing his way around the NFL.
Yeah, he'll be potentially a backup in this league for a long time if in fact things go south as a starter. I don't think he's out of the league in a year or two. I think he's stabilized his career enough to where it's not there. Then it gets more interesting, as you said, with some of these other names.
Yeah. So I was thinking about the career and I'm not going to try to go with the easy, obvious argument. Just be like Justin Herbert's floor is Phillip Rivers. He just immediately turns into, because Phillip Rivers had a hell of a career. I think Justin Herbert's floor is lower than that. Like, I think it's below what Phillip Rivers
in terms of like accomplishments or actual numbers or playoff. Like, when you say below
like
Phillip Rivers,
right? Like what you accomplish in the NFL from a playoff perspective, what you accomplish from a numbers perspective, like what you are as a quarterback when people view the end of your career. I think he could be more in the. I think Justin Herbert's floor is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has had a nice career, but it's not Phillip Rivers' career. Phillip Rivers threw for 60,000 yards. He got a lot of touch. He had no playoff success, 0. But, like, he put up some counting stats at the very least. I still think Kirk Cousins is the floor for Justin Herbert. The ceiling is where I've really altered on him. I feel like the ceiling for him is the guy who gets... Is it still a Super? I think it's a Super Bowl, right? It's one. Is it? It's too good. I think it's too good to say Matt Stafford. I don't want to say that. Stafford put up a lot of counting stats. I think that's too high of a ceiling for Justin Herbert for me at this point. It's probably a stage below that. Where are you on it?
So Herbert, the tricky thing with him always is going to be the fact that everybody agrees universally in terms of players in the league.
He can play.
Everybody, the arm talent and all that. It's all there. But at some point, the results are the results. And I know this gets into... And
that feels Matt Stafford-y is what you're describing.
Yeah, like the arm talent is there, but the results are the results. The difference is, franchise-wise, as much as we poke fun at the Chargers, like Matthew Stafford was on the Detroit Lions for a very, very long time. And that franchise had, non-existent success. Whereas, like, the Chargers, as much as we give them crap and all that, they have still, over the first X amount of years of Herbert's career, they have still been more successful than Stafford's, even though it's not been multiple playoff wins or a playoff win. It still has been in better shape. I don't want to get into the whole debate like, well, Matthew Stafford had Calvin Johnson and things like that, and who is Justin Herbert had Keenan Allen. Like, I understand that. The ceiling for Herbert,
someone says as far as Jay Cutler.
At one point in time, people thought that Justin Herbert could be a top 5 quarterback in this league.
People thought that about Jay Cutler too.
Yeah, that Jay Cutler though. So you think Justin Herbert's going to be
I'm saying his floor.
No, but like the floor, you think the floor, Justin Herbert, there's a chance that in 4 years that we view him as a bottom 5 quarterback in the league?
No, I think
because that's what Cutler was at the end.
Yeah, but that's at the end though. Like Jay Cutler made it to an NFC title game and he put up some pretty ridiculous numbers.
Cutler put up some numbers that people legitimately
crazy
thought,
numbers.
Now, not as good as Herbert's. That's the other part.
Yeah, but
Jay Cutler for his floor is...
I said that's too high. I said Kirk Cousins.
That's wild.
Cody,
I gave him Kirk Cousins.
I'm curious because you're saying you think it's more like... You said it's more like Phillip Rivers and not Matt Stafford, right? Or did you say it's more Matt Stafford than Phillip Rivers? Because Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl, Phillip Rivers didn't win one.
I think his ceiling,
in terms of his ceiling.
I think absolute ceiling, if I'm being generous, is Matt Stafford. That is the way we discuss Matt Stafford. Look at this freakazoid with all the talent and all the world, but wasn't accomplishing anything for a very, very, very long time until he had the head coach. So I'm still willing to put the ceiling around Stafford range. Like,
I think that makes sense.
You get your one-off Super Bowl. Bo Nix, what's his floor?
Yeah, I've told you. I think his floor is fairly high, and I think his ceiling though is low. I think he's going to be a quarterback in this league for a very long time, but he's never going to be in the conversation of one of the truly top-tier quarterbacks, in my opinion. Last year, give him credit, it was a really nice rookie season. I think Sean Payton is perfect for him and the system that they want to run. And he's going to be in this league for a long time. I told you when he got drafted and after we saw a couple of games, it was very evident that, all right, this is actually a good thing if you're a Chiefs fan. And you're like, what are you talking about? Because, yeah, you would prefer them to sputter around for a couple of years. That'd be the best option. But they have found a quarterback that's good enough that they're not going to go try to draft and find the elite top 5 quarterback in the league. They think they got a good enough quarterback, so Bo Nix can be their starter, I'm convinced, for 5+ more years. I really am. Which is a good thing because he's not Josh Allen, he's not Mahomes, he's not Burrow, he's not Lamar, he's not Jalen Hurts. Like, he's not that kind of quarterback, so it's great. They basically have what I consider to be Derek Carr, a guy that he can win some games, but you're never concerned that he's going to go.
Is that his floor or his ceiling, or is it the same in this case?
His floor,
he's just Derek Carr. There's no floor or ceiling. He's just Derek Carr.
His floor is that, as far as an actual player comp, I guess
I would play Matt in a couple of years. 1 year is not going to convince me.
His floor is much higher. I don't think Bo Nix is going to be out of the league, But I truly think like his ceiling to me is Derek Carr type.
I think, and his floor being the absolute, like the worst that we can expect him to be in his career, correct? Is that what we're saying floor is?
Say that again?
The floor is the worst, is that worst that he would be in his career. Yeah. Okay, his floor, to me, his floor is Andy Dalton. Playoff appearances, solid,
that's
never good enough.
That seems too high of a floor.
I think
he could be out of the league in 6 years. Just not likely, but it just stat-wise,
or maybe
that's not out of the question yet.
Because I feel like it's unfair to almost say it now based on the career this guy has had. But I think stat-wise, his ceiling is Baker Mayfield. Based like last year, Baker Mayfield is Bo Nix. I don't know how many yards he threw for last year.
Baker's not a bad one.
But I think he can be a playoff winning quarterback.
I think his floor might. I think not the same type of player. I think his floor might be like Kyler Murray, like where you are a starting NFL quarterback, but no one's like thrilled about it. Kyler Murray is like that. That's Kyler Murray's like feel okay.
But Kyler Murray's ceiling, I would still argue, is higher than Bo Nix's even to this day. Even though Kyler Murray's been in the league for a while because of the dual threat ability that he presents. Like
he's been in the league 6
I
years.
Understand.
I feel like we've seen his ceiling.
I agree, but like I still think Kyler Murray's ceiling is higher than Bo Nix. Like, and even like if we were just to discuss who would you rather have as your starting quarterback today? Who would you rather have, Kyler Murray or Bo Nix? I would still choose Kyler Murray. I really would.
I think Bo Nix's ceiling is like Joe Flacco. Like, you just start for a team for 12 years. You get the right pieces around you. You can make some hay.
Again, it's like Derek Carr. Yeah. And I know Flacco has a ring, but he got hot for a postseason, which is unbelievable. But like that's what I mean. I think that's why in general it's not a bad thing. I understand Bo Nix almost beat the Chiefs last year in the game at home. I don't count week 18. Sorry, I just don't. The Chiefs waved the white flag.
Patrick didn't even start that game.
But he's gonna be their starter for a while. But as a Chiefs fan, you're not threatened by it. You're not threatened by it. He'll beat you. Like, Derek Carr beat the Chiefs a couple times, like, of course. But they are not going to deal with – it's not like Burrow and dealing with Josh Allen or Lamar dealing with Joe Burrow in this division. I mean, like, you're not doing that. You got another quarterback that's a top 15, top 12.
I'm more impressed by the list of coaches than quarterbacks in this division right now. I still don't like – I have to live in fear less every day that Justin Herbert's team is irrelevant. Like, until they show some ability to at least get to an AFC title game. Hell, like close divisional round games a couple years in a row, maybe. Until they're relevant, like, I can't live in fear of Justin Herbert, and I won't.
And what does relevant mean? Does that mean winning a playoff game?
Multiple years in a row.
Like, just, okay.
Like, then you're relevant.
How many playoff games did Derek Carr win?
I don't know, probably like 4.
I don't think he's won that many.
Let's see. Hold on. He's 0-1, actually.
That's it? He played in a single
He got hurt. Remember the year they were great? He got hurt. Remember the year they were awesome?
Yeah.
And he got hurt.
And they lost to the Bengals in 2021.
So he's 0-1. I think Bo Nix will win a playoff game, I guess. So maybe if you think my Derek Carr comp and that, but we're not just talking about who the comp is not playoff success. It's in general.
I think that I know you mentioned Derek Carr. I think your floor for Herbert actually might be Derek Carr because he's 0-1 in the playoffs, correct? Or Herbert's 0-2 in the playoffs. Yeah, but
Herbert's going to put up way more touchdowns and way more yards.
I think that's like Herbert. If Herbert never makes the playoffs ever again, he's Derek Carr.
I got him the coach. But, I mean, he already has – Justin Herbert hasn't been around that long. He already has 21,000 passing. He's already halfway to Derek Carr's career passing yardage total and more than halfway to his touchdown. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's going to like, blow past him.
Also, I don't want to go back to – I don't want to go back to Kyler Murray and Bo Nix, but how many years has Kyler Murray been playing again? How many years?
He's been in the league for a bit.
6 or 7 years.
He's only like 2 years older than Bo Nix.
Oh, because of
Bo Nix is 25.
That's
Kyler
the other
Murray
part we have to consider in this, though, with the ceiling.
He's like 2.5 years older.
Bo Nix a little older.
Like that's the other thing we do have to consider. Yeah. Now Kyler Murray's had some injury history, right? He's only 2 years ago only played in 8 games. So we'll see. It's interesting in the division, though. I think. Someone says, I think if we've seen the best of Kyler Murray, it could be the same for any 2020 draft class quarterback. Yeah, I still, I don't want to, Kyler Murray, the conversation about him being one of the elite guys in the league, that's over. But I still think there's a chance
he can have
that
a Baker Mayfield run.
Kyler Murray.
Especially now that he's got Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr.
I don't think Kyler Murray's a bad quarterback by any means, and I would still rather have Kyler Murray than Bo Nix. That's just me. But
if you just said you had to trade and there was one starter for Andy Reid, I'd choose Kyler Murray too.
Yeah.
I'd choose Kyler Murray.
He'd stop playing Call of Duty if he was on the Chiefs. I'll tell you that.
I mean, the truth is,
he would not be playing Call of Duty anymore.
This just goes back to the rookie thing. Kyler Murray, his rookie year, did things equal or greater to that Bo Nix did his rookie year. They're comparable rookie seasons. But I've watched Kyler Murray, when stay healthy, maintain that level of play for 6 consecutive seasons. He's been pretty much statistically the exact same quarterback every single year he's been a starter. So, like, I've just watched him essentially be Bo Nix's rookie year every year for 6 years moving forward. I can't be promised that Bo Nix will do that every year, so I'll just take my chances with Kyler.
People hate on Dak Prescott, man. Someone says Bo Nix's floor is Dak Prescott. Now, the Broncos would be thrilled if he was Dak Prescott. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
People hate on Dak. I don't get it. People, it's the Cowboys thing. People hate on. People act like Dak Prescott stinks. It's unbelievable to me. I'm still. I don't get it. I really don't. It's because he's on the Cowboys. I guess is what it is. But Bo Nix's floor being Dak Prescott. Are you kidding me? That means you think Bo Nix might win an MVP. If the floor is Dak, that means there's a ton of growth on the ceiling, and you think Bo Nix might win an MVP at some point in time. I want to remind you, for a half a season, Dak Prescott was the odds-on favorite to win MVP 2 years ago.
Finished second.
Yeah. Are that many people? And somebody said Andy Dalton's too high. I know that you guys said that as well. I thought Andy Dalton always should have gotten more praise than he did, but does he actually have the same numbers as Troy Aikman?
He's like probably.
I know it's different. It was different era. Oh, of course not. It was different eras as well, kind of in there.
Troy Aikman's numbers are not impressive. So probably, yes. Probably. Meanwhile, on the sports wagering end,
yes,
one NBA player has decided to not learn from Jonte Porter's mistake. Maybe. Obviously, it's just an investigation at this point, so there's not information out. But Malik Beasley is officially under probe to figure out whether or not he was fixing unders, like does occur occasionally in this situation. And once again, but what I don't understand, like Jonte Porter actually made sense to me. Like, just real quick, Jonte Porter's on a two-way, didn't make sense. He shouldn't have done it either. But two-way contract, wasn't making a lot of money in the league. Malik Beasley, didn't he just sign? Wasn't he coming off?
He recently got a 4-year, $60 million contract. Recently.
This is why this one's the dumbest of the bunch. I mean, I'm serious, because one, as you said, Cody, you've already seen the consequences from a couple players over the last 12 to 18 months on what happens if you get caught doing this. They're laying the hammer down, okay? Yeah. Both the league and obviously federal authorities. And then you had a chance to get a nice payday. Like this wasn't a guy that was just struggling to stay in the NBA and go to the G League and all. No, you were going to make tens of millions of dollars. So Malik Beasley, if in fact this is true, he's the dumbest one of the bunch. Federal authorities are investigating this. Some of the allegations are from the 2023-2024 season when he was actually with the Milwaukee Bucks. That year, if you're wondering, he averaged about 11.3 points in 79 games. He had a career-high 77 starts, but at least one prominent U.S. sportsbook detected unusually heavy betting interest on his stats beginning around January of last year. And they pointed out in this article from ESPN that the one that really stood out to them that seemed a little obvious was a game between the Bucks and the Trailblazers, January 31st of 2024. The odds in that game, Beasley to record fewer than 2.5 rebounds, moved significantly before the game. It was plus 120. All of a sudden, it's minus 250. So they took a ton of money on the under rebounds for him. He finished with 6 rebounds, and the bets that were deemed unusual lost. So basically, it was like, in that particular instance, that was very, very fishy, given the line movement for a random, fairly random NBA player to have his under market
on a random NBA game.
And that's the conversation I think. Like you and I have gone back and forth on like, what does this mean? I've always said, and we don't have to necessarily rehash if you don't want, but the fact guys are getting caught. If they were not in a legal sports betting market, we may not even know about this happening with Malik Beasley. The idea that this is just now happening, it wasn't happening 5 years ago when it wasn't legal, or 15 years ago, I think would be very naive of all of us to suspect.
I also think it'd be naive to think that they're catching everybody.
Of course not. You're not going to catch everybody. If they are using offshore accounts, they're not going to catch them. If they are having their distant cousin making the bets, they may not catch them. But if you were betting under the name Malik Beasley and it's linked to your driver's license, you're getting caught now. That is going to happen. If in fact he actually did this, again, they're investigating. He's not been charged with anything. The other part with this entire thing is, does the NBA need to talk with their sports betting partners and say, hey, we're not offering unders anymore? Because you can have over, you can't really game the over the same way. I got to make my threes. I got to make the shots. But it's very easy
in a sport in which you can control the unders. Like the NFL under yardage is tougher. What are you going to do? Just run lazy routes?
Right. But in the NBA, if my over-under, if I know it's set at 3.5 made threes that night, I can just simply late in the game not take a three.
I can just take twos.
I can just not take a three. That's the conversation I think will be interesting over the next calendar year or so. If that becomes a real thing, does the NBA want to do that, number one? And number two, what's that like? Because in general, I'm open to, I want people to be able to bet on whatever props they want most of the time. But if this is going to continue to be the one way that everybody is kind of trying to take advantage of, and I say everybody, we are also talking about 3 players. We're talking about 1% of the NBA. So I don't want to act like there's 30 players that are out here doing this consistently. I know we assume there are others, but also it would be, to me, ridiculous to think that half the league is doing this. That's also silly.
No, this is not PEDs in the 90s.
Yeah.
I got it.
So I don't know. Like the under, I think there's a real conversation to be had, though, if you want to stop the easy manipulation from those that are going to risk their entire futures, both in the league and obviously potentially going behind bars in some of these guys' cases.
I mean, what if we find out, though, that it's like if somebody bets like an over and they can't, because I don't know what the rules are for NBA players, but you can't bet on, I would assume you can't bet on the league that you play in. Is there any way that they manage that, even if they're betting over?
Well, yeah, you're not supposed to. Yeah,
I know that
no one's supposed to bet in the league they're playing.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm saying if it's just an unders, why wouldn't it be everything instead of just an unders conversation?
Because if my over-under is 3.5 made threes, I can't force myself to make 4 threes. I might just not have it that night. I can't manipulate that the same way. Unders, it's pretty simple. If I got to have 8 assists that game, and I know I have my buddies betting the over, I'll just. If I bet the over, I can't guarantee the guy's going to make the shot when I pass it to him and give me an assist. I can make sure that I'm not passing Cody the basketball, though, in a scoring spot.
Yeah, the points and the rebounds.
Manipulation, though, I think just the same as the under. To me, it's the exact same.
No, but I can't. If my prop bet is to make 7 threes that night, I got to make the shot. I can't force myself to make the shot.
They shouldn't be betting on that or having buddies bet on that either. But that is like
you can't manipulate it.
It also like people judge you differently whether you bet against yourself or actively hurt your team. Like if you just said, I'm betting I'm getting 50 tonight and you get 50. No one's all that mad at Millie Peas. You're like, damn.
Yeah, what are you trying to
All right, so I'm saying
confused because I don't make any sense.
Russell Westbrook, I don't think was betting on games, but I've seen him triple double hunt so much so he had it.
Sure.
I think it's the exact same as part of a betting thing. If you know I got to get over 8.5 assists and I have 1 assist to go and I get an open layup and I pass an open layup away
he has to
tie a game. I think that there's a level of egregiousness where we can you can get to, I think, to hit an over where you have an open shot and you're passing up an open shot to try and get that final assist.
Yeah, but there's not money on that.
But that's a statistic. Like, that would be like, the triple-double, we all know the significance of that. Like, it's not like on a... It's not like...
I know, but I'm using that as a random example of somebody passed open an open layup. But if somebody passed open an open layup to get their 7th assist...
No, he's playing on a court, playing the game, not for somebody else's money. It's just different.
All right. I'm just saying, I think that... And there's one thing that's going around now is Anthony Edwards hit 7 threes in a game. Before the game, Malik Beasley said, Ant, I need you to hit 7 threes. Ant was guarded by...
He still had to make 7 threes.
I know, but Ant was guarded by Malik Beasley, who maybe took it a little bit easier on him defending-wise. Malik was a solid two-way player.
Any of the small fraction of players, again, we're talking about 3 that we know of so far that have bet on it, yeah, is there a chance that they had their buddies one of these times bet the over? The point is that it is way too easy to manipulate unders for the sheer fact that I can simply guarantee, I can make sure I'm not making a shot. I cannot make sure I'm making 7 shots tonight. They would love to be. There's so many other factors that can go into that. I could get fouled.
I don't get to decide how many minutes I'm playing.
So many things that can go into that. It's why, what's his name, the Porter kid? The eye injury thing. I can tell coach I got my hammies acting up. I can't run. He can't, in that moment, he can't tell me, oh, you're full of it. No, I'm pulling myself to guarantee the under. I can't tell coach, hey, I got to make 7 more threes.
You make it much harder to manipulate by getting rid of unders than you do the other.
No, sure. I just think that there was another one that went around, as social media, as you can imagine, is crazy with this sort of stuff, where he scored 7 points in the last minute of a game to hit his over. I'm just saying.
He had to make the shots, though.
I'm just saying. It was garbage time, and he
shouldn't have someone betting on it either. But, in a lot of ways, it's just... That's why we're saying, the overs, it's going to lessen the likelihood that somebody takes the chance. Because when you are putting that kind of money in the unusual betting amount, you are doing that for the sure thing. For the... like Jonte Porter telling him, I'm going to tell him my eye hurts 4 minutes in, I think it's just as simple as you can guarantee an under. In no way can you guarantee an over.
Right. All right, let's get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour, guys. A couple things heading into training camp in a couple weeks in regards to the offensive line, based on what occurred last year at training camp and how that could dictate how confident we are in that left tackle spot. That's coming up right here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Tune in to hear Royals insider Josh Vernier every Wednesday at 12:30.
We need to nip this in the bud. We need to nip what in the bud?
On your home for Royals baseball, 96.5, The Fan.
Obviously, stormy weather yesterday as it blew through Kansas City. That could have done damage to your roof. Trust a company with 35 years of experience and over 30,000 roofs under their belt. That's Century Roofing. They've been doing it for so long. That's why they've been voted Best of Johnson County 3 years in a row. You want a trusted contractor for a project of that size. Look, I thought maybe I need a new roof. Just repairs done. So nice to have the peace of mind that your roof's not leaking when you have big storms, big heavy rains come through, hail, all of those things. And if you've seen your neighbors get new roofs, maybe you qualify under an insurance claim as well. You can trust their experts to handle that with your insurance company to make sure that you're under warranty. They give a free inspection to check on those things for you. And again, because you want to trust a company, don't just trust somebody coming to knock on your door, and go with a locally owned and operated Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength and schedule your free estimate today with female-owned and proud Century Roofing. CenturyRoofingKC.com and tell them that Cody sent you.
Going out to eat just got a serious upgrade, Kansas City. 30 Hop is your new go-to. An American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. Now open in Lee Summit and just opened at Miriam's Grand Station. As the proud lunch partner of the Cody and Gold Show, 30 Hop truly has something for everyone. Stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour. 30hop.com. That's 30hop.com. Local beer, American Eats, big patio.
Men, the summer is here. Longer days, warmer nights, and romance in the air. Intimate dinners, walks on the beach, dancing in the moonlight. But if you have erectile dysfunction, you know it can ruin romance, both for you and the one you love. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And if you have ED, don't let another summer go by without getting treated. Because intimacy is one of the greatest things in life, and fear of not being able to perform should not be something you have to deal with. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts. We've successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Our protocols work when others don't, and we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. You could even last up to an hour or more and perform like you haven't in years. So call us. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy the rinse straight. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck. And she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes. But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This summer, Casey's has 89-cent fountain and frozen drinks. But if you don't have 89 cents, you could check your center console, or dig between your couch cushions, or ask Grandma for $1, or just use your credit card. We take those too. 89-cent frozen and fountain drinks at Casey's, all summer long. Restrictions may apply. See store for details.
Jake from State Farm. I'm winning. I finally cleaned my house, so I'm breaking out my new tropical room spray.
Keep winning and create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It's like your own personal paradise.
Ooh, hey, grab me a coconut water.
Bundling, just another way to save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
No one likes having to choose. That's why with America's best lineup of hybrids from Hyundai, you get the best of both worlds. Like the reliable and efficient Tucson Hybrid with America's best warranty. Or the stylish yet capable Santa Fe Hybrid with power to navigate the toughest terrain. It's like having your cake and eating it too. You know, if you could drive a cake. Hybrids from Hyundai. It's the best of both worlds. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
In a world parched for excitement, one drink will emerge. Twisted Tea, the refreshing thrill ride of flavor. Recreating its classic role as the hard iced tea that goes down smooth. Twisted Tea doesn't just taste like real iced tea, it's made with real brewed tea and a 5% kick of alcohol. Taste the adventure with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Empower. Jen has ordered a decadent seafood tower, king crab legs, lobster tails, and a waterfall of caviar. Pricey? You bet. But Jen worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy and planned for splurges like these. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Ooh, champagne. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. OMG, those shrimps are really jumbo.
DQ presents How to Make Your Summer Take Flight. Just head into DQ for a new Superman cake batter cookie dough blizzard treat. Treat your inner hero to an epic mix of sugar cookie dough, sprinkles, and cake batter flavor. Blend it all with legendary DQ soft serve, and it's enough to tempt Superman himself. Fly into DQ for our new Superman cake batter cookie dough blizzard treat before it's gone. And don't miss Superman. Only in theaters July 11th. DQ. Happy tastes good. Only at participating locations.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or online at gomers.com.
Summertime is fun time, and that means it's Gomer's time. Voted #1 KC liquor shop and family-owned since 1969, Gomer's Fine Wines and Spirits. Stop by one of their 5 locations. You'll be glad you did.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour here on Cody and Gold.
Brought to you by All Weather Decks, Kansas City's most respected deck builder. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net.
Some news in the Kansas City area real quick before we get to the Chiefs. I guess it kind of is Chiefs adjacent to a certain extent. I saw this just come across from 41 Action News here in town. I don't know if they still go by Action News. That was their old thing. Maybe it's just KSHB 41.
I don't think they go by Action News
It used to be Action News. Anyway, from 41, you guys know who I'm talking about, all right? From 41.
It's not your job to get their slogan right.
The Jackson County Election Board has said that it has received enough verified signatures for a recall petition of County Executive Frank White. They've received 43,000 verified signatures. They needed 42,092, I guess, for a possible recall. The directors now will send a letter to the clerk of the Jackson County Legislature later today. Then they will choose to accept or not accept those signatures. And if accepted, an election would be scheduled to allow Jackson County voters to determine if Frank White should be recalled from his position. So that is happening. It is moving forward. It is moving forward.
I do not think that this is happening because of the stadium stuff. I do, in fact, think that this is because of the absolute atrocity that took place over the property taxes in Jackson County. I got to be honest. Easily the worst sign of all of that is when everybody's went up 40% and his went down 15%.
You think?
His personally went down, I believe. Now, look, I'm trying to remember like a 2-year-old report now. But I believe it was like his went down and everybody else's went up because they pulled all the ones on the council. I'm not surprised by this. They got 43,000 verified signatures to say, kick them out. So just as long as the council accepts these, there will be a vote, as you said, by Jackson County members on whether or not to recall him. You think he's going to get recalled?
I have no idea. That's out of my wheelhouse there. I don't know.
I want somebody to tell me. Can one of the newsy reporters tell me whether or not it's going to happen?
Just from the surface, from the outside of someone that does not live in Jackson County, if you told me I owned a home and my property taxes went up to the rate that some of these people's rates went up, and knowing what you just said,
I
don't know how on earth I wouldn't vote to recall him. But again, I have no idea what I can't imagine he's all that popular these days, but maybe I'm way off.
Look, he's won his
seat. My guess would be he would be out. But
look, I lived in Jackson County for a really long time. He has won that seat by a lot. I voted for Frank White multiple times. In full disclosure, I have personally
Who else have you voted for?
I have personally
Go
voted.
ahead. Who else have you voted for?
That one's good enough. I have personally voted for Frank White a couple of times, I believe, when I voted in Jackson County. And what were like landslide ones. It was just like they each had competing little billboards around Ward Parkway. And it was like, it wasn't one of those ones I thought all that hard about. You're like, yeah, sure, that sounds fine. And I should have thought harder about it maybe at the time. But now in retrospect, these things have gone pretty south. I think that they got the 43,000. I think his job's at real risk. He's got to hope they don't do a recall vote on his statue of Kaufman after. I mean, this feels like a bad thing for his job
That might just
security.
get lost in the move. That might just get lost in the move.
Back up the trucks.
It might have.
The Mayflower trucks are all falling up and just be like, sorry. That one went down the Independence Avenue Bridge for no reason, and it chopped the top of the statue.
Just wanted to pass it along. That was some breaking news there from 41 and multiple outlets now that the required signatures for a recall campaign have been reached, and so now it moves forward. If they're accepted, then expect a recall vote at some point in the future. So we'll let you know if any new update with that. But that did just come across, and it's sports adjacent for a couple different reasons, obviously. All right, let's talk some Chiefs football here. It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour. We know one of the biggest stories heading into training camp when we get up to St. Joe. We found out our full training camp schedule. That was one of the things we were working on last Friday when we were on the show. So we'll be up there for 11 shows this year. Hope to see you guys up. If you're going to be in St. Joe, be sure to stop by. We're in the same spot we've been for the last 4 or 5 years now at this point, I guess.
Yeah, right there to the right. I don't know. What's
to the left of that first bleacher, behind the High V. Our friends over at High V, right there, man.
Do you think that helps more people, or if you gave like a card? What do you think? People got like a compass out? If you gave a cardinal direction, you said south.
No,
end,
that'll be worse for people. There's a lot of people that are directionally challenged. So no. All I know is like
we'll be there.
I'll be. It's a different just timing ends up. I ended up eating like a cheeseburger from High V at 9:30 in the morning before the show, just because it's there.
Yeah, you got interesting eating time frame.
It gets switched up there because by the time I'm usually hungry by the time we get on the air because we're up earlier in the morning.
And you get home later because of the drive back.
We'll
be there. That's the point.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about last year's camp, and I'm trying. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm trying not to be a pessimist. I'm trying really hard to not be a pessimist about a situation, but I was thinking negatively the other day.
Okay.
Because I remembered a gleeful feeling I had at camp last year when we found out that Kingsley Suamataia had won the job, won it easily, was the starter from jump, and the confidence that gave us that he was the dude. He won the job, no sweat, no problems, here we go. And I was trying not to already decide that I need to be incredibly cautious if Simmons wins the job right away. And instead not optimistic. What I want to be is optimistic. If Simmons wins the job immediately, I should be like, yes, here we go. He won the job. We should be feeling great. Look at him. He's the starter week 1. And last year, that burned me so damn bad. I feel like I'm going to roll into this not wanting us as a show to immediately be like, fantastic news, everyone. Simmons won the job out of training camp. Should I not operate that way?
Here's the difference. So I totally get how it played out last year. Understand that. And I've told you, even as we sit here on June 30th, I am still skeptical whether or not Simmons truly will be 100% full go day one. And I understand what Andy Reid said, but I'm still skeptical. But here's the difference. If you tell me Josh Simmons wins the job out of camp, the reason why this is different, the reason why you should still be giddy and still be excited, even though what happened last year happened. Last year, I think we now know in hindsight, Kingsley was competing with who? Wanye Morris, with all due respect to him. Jalen Moore, while he has been a backup, he has started multiple games. I think you would even agree.
Hold on, I think 10 games.
I think you would even agree, though. At least I think
more competition.
Jalen Moore is better competition than what Kingsley was dealing with Wanye Morris.
I would agree with that.
Okay,
I do.
So that would be.
I don't want to hyperinflate it either.
But
he's not like beating out some future All-Pro or former Pro Bowler. It's been a guy who started 7 or 8 games last year.
That's part of the reason why I would say it's not the exact scenario and why you shouldn't feel the exact same way is because he's, to me, in a real competition. The other part is just simply, this dude was a first-round pick. This dude was a first. This guy was a first-round pick, and the question with him around the draft process was never about ability. It's always been about health.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I would say you could still be excited if, in fact, he wins the job out of camp.
Okay, so you're saying it's okay. I was just trying to look up what is the total number of games Jalen Moore has started. 15 games in his career. Where do we think Wanye was going into last year? What's our ballpark? It can't be way off of that, right?
No idea.
12.
He has started 17 games in his career, and Wanye started... No, so Wanye had started more, but by 2. They've started a similar number of games. So, I think...
Wanye was a third-round pick.
I got to say, I don't know. Jalen Moore is undrafted. That's worse for him. I think that Jalen Moore is a better player to beat at. I think, but that might only be because I've watched Wanye play, and I've only kind of seen Jalen Moore play, and that was a little more successful. It might be somewhat comparable. I think your stronger argument's the first or second round pick. I'm afraid to be optimistic about it.
I think
I want to be, but I'm a little afraid of it.
I think you're too focused on who they're beating out rather than the player themselves. And in this standpoint, like what Gold said, it's a health thing with Josh Simmons. Like he was going to be picked in the top 10 probably if he was healthy.
People have questioned the health, not the ability.
If he was fully, let's say he doesn't tear his patella tendon during college football season, he's probably picked in the top 10. And so I think that's what should make you more excited is Kingsley was never that sort of a prospect.
But I'll be honest. So here's your sales pitch on that for me is I hate those statements. Because I think
you don't think injury impacts draft status?
I think it is always incredibly overinflated. And I've admitted on the show, we talked about this a little bit. It goes way back to even the simple things where I had Chiefs fans in the middle of training camp trying to tell me that Aaron Murray was going to be a first-round pick before he tore his ACL.
We're talking about a quarterback.
I understand. Yeah. I'm not saying that injury has no impact. I do not think if Joshua Simmons was 100% healthy, he was getting picked 7th. Because I think if he was getting picked 7th, he wouldn't have been available at 31. I think he would have been picked at 17. I think we always overinflate for personal fan bases the level up they would have gone depending on the injury as a way of making it seem like you got the steal of the century. I think it's inflated. I'm not saying it's nothing. I just think it's always inflated.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a report a couple of days after the draft? Jeremy Fowler said teams in the NFL weren't concerned about his health. It was the character concerns. It was from Jeremy Fowler.
That was a report that floated out. I think people thought that was intentionally leaked by a team to hope he would slide more. But yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if that's part of the reason he slid, Cody. I have no idea. Because I think to your point, if teams knew that he was going to be healthy, then they might have picked him at 16 or 21.
I don't think he'd have been I think everyone's convinced he'd have been the number 2 overall pick if he his foot was
stop.
He's a top 10.
Top 10. I think he could have gone 10.
I don't think he would have gone 10th.
Who was picked in the top 10? Joe Alt, or not Joe Alt.
That was the year before.
Will Campbell and Armand Membo. There were 2 offensive tackles picked.
Yeah.
I think he might have. I don't know how many offensive linemen were picked in the first round.
This year's draft? I don't know.
Because that makes me wonder, what a team is that also part of the reason why he slid was nobody needed an offensive lineman.
And I guess that's part of where the comps come in for this, because I think part of the reason we were so high on Kingsley winning the job coming out of camp is we didn't do this, but we were oh man, we thought he might be available at 32. So
that's fair.
He was a second round pick, but we were all as Chiefs fans way higher. I'm oh, this is a top 40 pick. And so we were inflating his draft status a little bit too. And I think we might be doing that with Simmons too versus a guy who's into the first round. Tackles aren't usually available at the end of the first round. I'm not denying that part of the reason he was available as late as he was is there, but I think he's probably more the 20th player out of the draft. Not the 10th.
There's
a huge difference between 10 and 20 in the first round.
There's a huge difference between pick 31 usually and the guy who goes 15th or 20th too. And typically we would agree as well.
If you were to say that he's the 20th best player in the draft, I think you would take that in a second. If you were you would take it in a second.
32, sure.
I get your skepticism because of what happened last year. I think there's some reasons why it's a little bit different. I also say, and we know PFF is subjective, but going back to the Wanye Morris versus Jalen Moore thing, since we all agree that they had the same amount of snaps basically in their career, Wanye Morris last year was a 53 grade. Trent Williams was hurt a lot last year. Jalen Moore was a 74.9. That's a significant difference in terms of their grading system. I know we all have our issues with PFF. I certainly do as well.
Are their career grades similar? I guess those are pretty much
also learning from Trent Williams.
That's really kind of a majority of his. Look, we'll see, right? Like, my skepticism is not the ability of Simmons. My skepticism is whether or not he's actually able to truly compete for the job day one when we're up there in St. Joe. And that's going to be interesting.
Is that like the number one story? Like day one? Is that what you guys are looking for? Like day one?
Yeah,
absolutely. Left tackle's been the biggest problem for this team. They had 5 different left tackles starting 5 Super Bowls. They spent a first-round pick on this guy. It's one of the biggest questions for sure.
Question 1 is left tackle. I think question 2, so like, it just is what it is. And then question 2 is probably, can they complete a deep pass in the year 2025?
Yeah.
And so, like, really what I come down to is, like, what ends up being, like, the third biggest storyline. Aaron Pride actually had an article up of being like, here are the biggest storylines going into the training camp or the pre-training camp, biggest questions going into it. What is number 3 for you guys? If we all agree that the deep passing game and left tackle are 1 and 2, which I just don't think are really much of an argument.
Yeah, I would say it's short yardage situations again. As in, I understand they should never be a run first team. They never are going to be with Mahomes and Andy. That's all fine. But we all know they struggled still at times in short yardage. They were great on third down conversion overall, but what led to some of the longer third downs is they would just struggle in short yard situations. It's why they would also struggle to set up shorter third downs.
And to close out those in touchdowns.
Yeah, in the red zone, it led to some red zone problems as well. So whether that's Kareem Hunt, whether it's going to be Brashard Smith, I don't really envision him as the short down back or short yardage back by any means. But how do they fare there? We talk all the time about this interior offensive line being as good as it is with Creed and Trey. Now at left guard, you're going to be weaker. There's no Tooney. And you struggled on short yardage when you had Tooney. So now what is it going to look like on short yardage? It's not just a running back conversation. It's a interior of the offensive line. Now that your left guard is not an all-pro anymore, it's either going to be Kingsley or it's going to be Caglianone, we assume.
So for you, it's like, how does that relate to the number of points in which we can score? I think for mine, it's defensive end depth. Like I had questions about it last year, and 2 years in a row, they were top 5 in sacks 2 years in a row. Last year, they were not good in that category. And the biggest drop-off is obviously Chris Jones falling back, 8-9 sacks from the previous year, probably single-handedly being the difference. I still wonder, like, Gelati, a Minihue coming off of, another year where, like, can he stay healthy? Can he be on the field? Because I think he's effective when he's on the field.
You were gone a week or whatever it was ago, and we did our, like, bold defensive predictions, and mine was Charles Minnie's going to have double-digit sacks this season. Contract year, he's still under 30. I think whenever he's been on the field, he's been effective. Can he stay on the field is the big question with Charles.
Yeah, that'd be always my fear. And look, I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a good player. It feels like he's been in a contract year every year for like for his entire NFL career. So, but like defensive in-depth is a real concern for mine. If they're going to have a fallback on this team, it feels to me that defense is the far more likely of the candidate. And I know you could be like, well, what about safety? This is the first time they're just running out a bunch of like second and third year guys and don't have the established guy like Justin Reed before, Tyrann Mathieu before that, or all these other. Defensive end is my real concern. Well, I think they're fine in the interior. That's my third biggest question in camp is, can they get production out of anybody else outside of those areas?
It's ironic you bring up the secondary, Cody, because I think it's not a concern necessarily, but one of the bigger questions I think going into the season is, can we avoid the shuffling of cornerback 2 conversation? Like, is Christian Fulton that guy? Does Noah Williams step up and become that starter? I think that's it's not a concern necessarily because they were fine while rotating, but can we avoid the, dang, this guy doesn't look good, let's bring in this guy, he doesn't look good, okay, let's bring back this guy. Can we squash that?
You notice he said we 3 or 4 times. Mr. Cincinnati's coming. Mr. Cincinnati, he's saying we a few times. He's fine. He knows he's going to camp maybe once or twice. We don't know if that's going to happen, actually, but we'll try to get Drew up to St. Joe.
It's look, the truth is last year in camp, we knew it was by committee. The Watson, Williams, Najee Johnson.
That was one of the big questions when Spags didn't know who it was yet.
By the way,
competition.
I'll just be honest.
Now you know why.
They spent 20 games last year and did not have that answer They didn't even have that answer by February of the Super Bowl. They were still rotating dudes out. There's a reason why they went after Christian Fulton.
And drafted
and there's a reason why.
Pick.
Yeah, and Noah Williams is I would say, a borderline identical fit for what they traditionally like in corners. And this is why I'm convinced Noah Williams will work, is because they know the kind of corners who work in their system, so he probably will just work day one.
I still think, though, part of that conversation, at camp was they didn't know who was going to emerge. And then if we remember how we discussed it the first month of the season, remember, Jalen Watson ended up taking over, and he played really, really well, then got hurt, and basically his season was over. He only played 6 games last year. He was clearly their best option when he was healthy the first 6 weeks of the season. It's just the injury derailed everything. And then now they've pivoted and they've brought in Fulton. Jalen Watson's still on the roster. So I would still say, like, if he all of a sudden, if you're telling me Watson's now your number.
I think Williams going to be gone before. I think he's like
before the season?
I think he's like
I think
he's either
they're cutting
a camp
Josh
trade
Williams
or a cut.
Really?
My bold prediction is I don't think Joshua Williams will be on the roster week 1.
I disagree only because we all know you got to have corner depth. I mean, you keep, 6 corners on your 5 corner? I have to go look at what they did out of camp last year.
Let me give you the corner depth.
You keep a large amount because of injury, and, there's certain packages where you're going to have multiple corners on the field on a consistent basis. So I'd be surprised, man. I don't think either. I think, go ahead.
Their corners consist of Trent McDuffie, Christian Fulton, Jalen Watson, Noah Williams, Joshua Williams, Roland Wallace, Najee Johnson, and then you're just getting
I think Josh Williams
is
fine. I think he's fine.
Do you think Najee Johnson is on the? I think you could say
there's
Najee
a chance
Johnson
he's not. I think
it's Williams.
Jalen Watson and Josh Williams to me make this.
I don't think they actually like Joshua Williams.
based on what?
They've tried to do anything to replace him on the roster for pretty much consistently.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about him being the 4th guy on the depth chart or 5th guy on the depth chart.
I think that they've always thought that in talking to some people and watching, I think they've always thought Najee Johnson was more talented, Jalen Watson was more talented. I think they took Noah Williams. I think that even
they did bring in Roland Wallace at some point to replace. I mean, they were running out everybody.
I don't think they're super high in Josh. And this is not.
I'm not super high on him. Again, we're talking about does he make the football team?
Yeah.
I just
think he's either a camp trade or a cut. That's all. That's my bold prediction that I missed last week. The Joshua Williams. That's not that bold, but Joshua Williams is not. It's medium bold. That's all. And it's not like a knock, but I think Watson, when healthy, has actually been the closest thing they've had to a corner.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And now they can line him up on the outside.
I'm just saying that Christian Roland Wallace, this time
he's
last
corner 5 or 6.
This time last year, none of us knew he existed. Let's be real.
I got his name wrong like 3 times since
CRW.
I didn't even say it just now, like 15 seconds ago, because I was worried I was going to say it wrong again. I kept trying to call him Cam Taylor Britt, which is not who he is.
That's Nebraska.
He's Roland Wallace, and I'm just like terrified of getting his name wrong. I think he's on the roster.
No, I think Jalen Watson. I think Jalen Watson's playing plenty this year still, and then Noah Williams. They drafted him for a reason. He's going to have a role. Yeah, I think I think your scenario of him getting traded for like a future pick is more likely than just flat out getting cut, Joshua Williams. Because I think if Josh Williams is the 5th corner on the team, that's actually a good thing.
What does he even go for? Like a 7th?
I mean, that's about where he was drafted.
So I'll just use him as my 5th. Jalen Watson got hurt. I'll use him as my 5th corner. If I have guys that get hurt, at least I have someone behind him that started 10, 15 games.
Well, that was my bold prediction career. Is Noah Williams starts by week 4. He's the starter by week 4.
Yeah, I think
takes over.
The Najee Johnsons of the world, that would be almost more of a camp cut. Anyway, we'll do these candidate stuff when we get up to training camp as well. But that's the Chiefs Right Half Hour. Here on Cody and Gold. Up next, let's get to what's trending, then we'll get right back into the Royals, who had a 1-5 homestand.
Not great.
This is Cody and Gold.
You will not decorate my balls, period. I will decorate my balls.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
A recent homeowner in Kansas City was trying to sell their home, and that's when they discovered Dawn Sharp. Dawn didn't just list their home, she became their trusted guide through every decision. And the Sharp Homes team can give you options as well. If you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold, then contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp and the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. Ask them about their instant offer program. You can Google them at Sharp Homes Team or just pay them a visit at homesforsaleandkc.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Hi, I'm Trisha, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where we're all about you. Your style, your budget, your dream engagement ring. Are you looking for a style that's classic, modern, vintage, or something in between? Not sure? At Shane Company, we're here to help. We have so much style under one roof because a friend knows you like options. Drop by or visit us at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey there, Royals fans. It's Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney.
Have you or your kids experienced a high school coach who wants to make our Kansas City community a better place to live, work, and play? The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation, together with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, are shining a spotlight on 6 impactful coaches in the KC metro area. Nominate a high school coach today at royals.com/coaches with character.
Oh, I can hear the sizzle of the grill. It's time to buy Gates sauces and try extra hot at your 4th of July cookout, or use as an enhancement for your special dips and your family's secret sauce. Try Gates salad seasoning on raw and cooked veggies, or sprinkle on your grilled corn on the cob for that extra flavor pop. Pick up a couple of slabs of ribs or a party tray to entertain at home. Whichever, Gates Barbecue has you covered. Gates 5 locations are open and want to be a part of your 4th of July celebration. Gates Barbecue. Thanks with love.
The 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, and it starts at Hy-Vee. They have all of our grilling favorites like prime reserve steaks, chicken, ribs, and Hy-Vee's famous specialty brats. And then, of course, the side dishes, potato or pasta salad, fruit, veggie, fiesta party trays, and all sorts of desserts like themed cookies, cakes, and cupcakes. And don't forget about the wine and spirits department. Hy-Vee has a huge selection of wine, craft beer, seltzer, and spirits. Get all your 4th of July needs only at Hy-Vee.
Let the celebration begin this week at Hy-Vee. Just 5 days to save big on everything you need for the perfect 4th of July. Load up the grill with tender pork loin ribs, just $2.99 a pound. Add party-size Frito-Lay chips for $3.99. Coke or Pepsi 8-pack bottles and 12-pack cans, just $3.99. And whole seedless watermelon, only $3.98 each. Stock up on your favorite beer, seltzer, wine, or spirits, and get the party started this Wednesday through Sunday only at Hy-Vee.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-355-8282. That's 800-355-8282. Again, that's 800-355-8282.
The best moments in life weren't meant to sit in a box, gathering dust in the attic or stuck on outdated tapes. They're meant to be seen, heard, and shared again and again.
Oh, look how little you were.
That's why Legacy Box exists, to help you preserve and relive your family's history. Imagine being able to text a video of your grandparents to your kids, or share a childhood memory with your siblings in seconds.
Wow, I haven't seen this in years.
Legacy Box makes it that easy. Just fill your Legacy Box with all your analog media. Send it to our headquarters in Tennessee, where we digitize everything by hand. And in just a few weeks, we'll send back your originals, digitized, preserved, and stored in the cloud, so you can easily stream, download, and share your memories. Anytime, anywhere. Join the millions of families that have trusted Legacy Box. Go to legacybox.com/value for 50% off. That's legacybox.com/value for 50% off.
Empower. Jen has ordered a decadent seafood tower, king crab legs, lobster tails, and a waterfall of caviar. Pricey? You bet. But Jen worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy and planned for splurges like these. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Ooh, champagne. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. OMG, those shrimps are really jumbo.
DQ presents How to Make Your Summer Take Flight. Just head into DQ for a new Superman cake batter cookie dough blizzard treat. Treat your inner hero to an epic mix of sugar cookie dough, sprinkles, and cake batter flavor. Blend it all with legendary DQ soft serve, and it's enough to tempt Superman himself. Fly into DQ for our new Superman cake batter cookie dough blizzard treat before it's gone. And don't miss Superman, only in theaters July 11th. DQ, happy tastes good. Only at participating locations.
This is the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Royals baseball. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. While the Royals finished their homestand just 1-5, salvaging one game against the Dodgers on Saturday. They are now, 6 games under 500. They're 4.5 games back in the wild card standings. They head to Seattle tonight to take on the Mariners, 8:40 Central Time first pitch, so out west. We're going to talk more about this homestand, where they're at, where they should be as the calendar flips to July tomorrow.
Isn't it crazy? The Royals feel like they've been playing baseball forever this season, and there's almost an equal number of games left as there were to start.
Long season.
That's part of it. Like, I know we're going to talk about it here in a minute. That's the only part that sticks in the back of my head, but I can't anymore. Next up on What's Trending, Jackson County has officially received enough signatures for Frank White Jr.'s recall petition. They required 40,000 or a little over 39,000 votes in order to do it. They have submitted over that number. Once the city council approves, there'll be a vote from Jackson County voters on whether or not to recall Frank White. Obviously, a lot of this following some of the stadium stuff, but more the property tax problems that Jackson County is still currently facing.
Next up on What's Trending, Phase 2 of All-Star Game voting begins today. Actually began about an hour ago. It'll go until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, July 2nd. So it starts now, ends Wednesday. This is only online. You can go to MLB.com/vote, all 30 club websites as well, the MLB app, ballpark app, etc. The reason why this is notable is Bobby Wood Jr. is a finalist for shortstop with the guy that's probably going to win American League Rookie of the Year, and Jacob Wilson. And in the original phase voting, he was way past Bobby Wood Jr. The good news is it now has phase 2 of voting, so you can kind of restart here, if you will. And so an opportunity for Bobby Wood Jr. maybe to be the starter in the All-Star game still. But the final voting totals at the time for shortstop had a huge edge for Jacob Wilson. Let me see. I was trying to look up the exact amount. Do they have that in front of me? Yeah, $1.8 million for Jacob Wilson. It was $1.3 for Bobby Witt. So, yeah, it was off 500,000 votes. But it's phase 2. It all begins now. You head to MLB.com/vote.
Next up on What's Trending, the USA Soccer advanced to the Gold Cup semifinals with a shootout win over Costa Rica. Obviously, there's been some questions over the U.S. men's national team's ability to kind of get it together here as we're just a year away from the World Cup in the United States, including Kansas City. People would like the U.S. men's team to feel like they're heading somewhere well. Look, the Gold Cup semifinals, I'm not going to claim that that's like, wow, they're doing it. But it's better than losing in the Gold Cup or, quarters. So they'll continue to advance.
The roster is just like, there's only a small fraction of the guys that are actually going to be on the World Cup team are playing right now. That's the only thing. There was a big upset, though, with Guatemala over Canada over the weekend in the Gold Cup, too. All right, lastly, on What's Trending, the WNBA is expanding to 18 teams over the next 5 years. So Cleveland, Detroit, and Philly will all be in the league by 2030, but they're staggering it. Philly will be the last one of the expansion. Cleveland will begin in 2028, Detroit in 2029. The expansion fee is $250 million, which is the largest it's ever been for the WNBA.
5 times more than it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, we're going to talk actually more about this here in about 15 minutes or so. That is What's Trending on Cody and Gold. Don't forget, though, as you're thinking about what to do for lunch today, what to do for dinner today, don't forget our friends over at 30 Hop, our Monday lunch partner here on Cody and Gold. And on Mondays, they have $5.99 classic burgers. 30 Hop, that's your new go-to, an American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. Check them out in Lee Summit. And their new location just down the street from us here at Merriam's Grand Station. They're a proud lunch partner of the show. Stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour, 30hop.com. Local beer, American Eats, big patio.
The show's making plans to get over there very soon. We've obviously already had food brought in before. It's excellent. So, 30hop.com to check out that menu. You'd mentioned the Royals. And I said it in What's Trending because I kind of, I want to be kind of like the offensive line stuff. I want to be the optimist here. I want to be in here and be like, you had said if they get sweep, then we'd just come in here and have the funeral and be like, but I just...
Yeah, if they went over on the homestand, yep.
They're 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. That's not crazy. Everyone else in the American League's not playing good baseball. Everyone else in the American League Central, absent the Tigers, who are the best team in baseball, in my opinion, are below 500 now and not playing good baseball. So, they haven't set themselves so far out of it that there's no... And yet, I watched this team for another series again, and I'm calling it. I no longer believe they are making the playoffs. I think they should be sellers. Whatever you need to do to convince yourself. They should be looking at long-term options if they're looking to add players to the roster. If they have any short-term players, they should be looking to move them. And we can talk about that as it relates to position players maybe later on in the week. But it is hard for me to watch them again this series where they've had multiple close calls again and be like, yeah, now I believe it'll happen. How can I?
Yeah, look, they were 1-5 on this homestand. They have one win and 13 opportunities at home in the month of June. They're going to have one win in the entire month. And yeah, specifically last Wednesday, I think I gave the scenario of, hey, if they go 0-6 on the homestand on Monday, let's call it. And look, they went 1-5, so it wasn't exactly much different than going 0-6. Short of them winning 3 or 4 out of nowhere against the Mariners, then I'm
You're
with
going to be ready to call it in a few days, too.
But this series, especially with the Mariners being one of the teams that are ahead of you in the wild card race, you're 4.5. You're in that spot. I've said, July 10th, if you are more than 5 games out of the wild card spot, then any move you make is about 2026 and beyond. So we're very close here. I'm giving them the Mariners series because technically they didn't. What I said needed to happen for me to call it did not happen. If we're sticking to our guns, if you will, but. This is now a spot where they have to win 3 or 4 out of nowhere against the Mariners, and then suddenly they're back to within 2.5 or something of a playoff spot. But if this is 5.5, 6.5 back in 3 days, meaning it doesn't go well in Seattle, which I suspect will probably be the case, then yeah, it's over. And that's what I meant all along by July 10th will sort itself out. This whole conversation about selling or not, it just does, man. Like we'll know, we're all going to know the answer, and it still is plenty of time to sell. Nobody's saying to wait till July 28th if you're out of it to sell Seth Lugo. This idea that they're missing their opportunity to sell Lugo. No, they're not. They haven't missed anything yet. Whether they sell on June 30th or July 10th, I am not convinced they're getting different return. If they wait till the day of the deadline, yeah, there's a chance you're getting a different return. It's a couple less starts for Lugo. There's the injury risk. All that kind of stuff comes into play. But whether they sell today or on Monday of next week, it is really not much of a difference in terms of the return. So why not, while you're not 5 back yet, still give them another go? And that's kind of where I'm at. Even if I'm with you that I think the end result is probably the same. Any move right now should not be for a rental. If there was a move to be made, that was last week, go get a rental or whatever. Not now. You're in a spot now where every move that you make has to be about bettering your team, not just this year if you want to do that path, but it has to be mainly about 2026. So whether that is trading Seth Lugo and getting guys with control for a couple years, whether that's trading anybody else if you had a bullpen arm or two you're willing to move, if somebody wants that, all right. I want somebody
Steven Cruz, you're listening.
Yeah, look, you're not getting a legit piece for 2026 for Steven Cruz, right? Like you're getting a random prospect probably, or another bullpen arm or something like that might have an extra year of control. So I mean, maybe that is the conversation tomorrow we have more is like when we mention selling, obviously Seth Lugo is the guy that would bring back the biggest return.
Position players.
But Steven Cruz, okay, you can sell him, but like what are you getting back for him? Michael Lorenzen, what are you really getting back for Michael Lorenzen? It sounds easy for people to say they should just sell off a bunch of pieces. There's only like 1 or 2 pieces, Lugo and Bubic, if we're being real, that are actually going to bring you a huge haul unless you're parting ways with your top 3 prospect, top 2 prospect in baseball. That's a different conversation. And I'm open to that if it brings back an outfielder that has 3 years of control.
I want desperately to be wrong here. I want them to prove me wrong so bad. Like I said earlier, I want Drew to have to play back audio of me being season's done. It's over. They're cooked. And fine, please. But the problem is we are now 84 games, 85 games, or whatever it is into the season, so slightly better than halfway. And they are the worst offense in baseball. Not one of the worst, not kind of bad. They have scored and score the least amount of runs per game in the entire sport. So, that's it. That's just it. And I understand that's partly because Pittsburgh managed to score 20 runs in a game over the weekend. So, that jumped them up for a day. But they are worse than the White Sox and the Rockies and all these other teams and teams that are struggling like them. And I'm not saying that. Again, the numbers itself should not actually make you feel that way. 4.5 is not enough normally to just say, okay, no chance.
But a franchise worse offense is the problem.
But not with 78, 9 games or whatever it is to play. You should not be thinking, done. the division's done. That's been done. We don't, like that, whatever. I shouldn't be feeling that way, but the offense feels like it's never gonna get better.
When's the trade deadline?
July 30th or 31st or something like that.
I think it's a few days before that. But
I don't know the exact date.
Because I think that this goes back into the conversation of experimenting with the player stuff. They've already done that. Where if you get rid of, if you make a change with the staff in terms of hitting development or whatever it is, you essentially give yourselves a buffer of, hey, we're going to see how the next week goes after making this change. And if it hasn't changed yet, then we sell. And when we go from there and you already have your decision made, or do you just, because if you think the season's already over with, then you think they should sell now. Like you think now is.
I'm not saying they have to sell now because I understand the same as buying that it doesn't have to occur immediately. They can sell in a week or two, but yeah, they should be sellers.
Okay.
Well, I'm not demanding that it take place today in order because there aren't that many deals to be had. Not saying there's zero. There's been a couple. But the majority of the trade deadline stuff heats up post All-Star break, and we all know that it's post All-Star break. So they want to wait a couple of weeks to really get going. It's fine. I just think it's done.
The reason I say is I wonder what the next step is in terms of, okay, well, we know that the hitting's bad. We know that they've addressed things with players. Is the next step to just straight up sell? Is the next step a coaching change? Is the next step just to ride it out and see how things go for the next 2 weeks and then we see something happen? Like what is the... Well, because the team doesn't think that it's over with, obviously, and nor I don't know. I would assume that they don't think that it's over because they're just 4.5 back.
So
in the wild
player-wise,
card. I mean,
guys in the clubhouse, obviously, guys in the clubhouse don't. Now, the organization, at some point, their actions are going to speak to what their belief level is, right? Like if you told me in a week from now or tomorrow they sold a veteran player, then it would be very evident that how they feel about where their team is at. By the way, we're going to talk about the hitting stuff in 15 minutes or so. We'll get into Cags and we'll get into Alex Zumwalt and stuff again.
What's the commitment on Bobby Wood Jr. on this? You've told him you were going to try to win the entire time. They've done everything to try to win up to this point since giving Bobby Wood Jr. that contract. Does that push them more towards buying, even though the numbers say they shouldn't now?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. I think it's you were in the playoffs last year, you had playoff expectations, and you have a pitching staff that's as good as it's been, and so there is, quote unquote, that obligation there that they maybe feel internally. Bobby Wood Jr. signed an extension with the thought that you kind of said you're going to be competitive, you're going to be aggressive, you're going to be competitive. You called up Jack Caglianone. We're going to talk about his performance, but you called him up because you thought, hey, we're not going to waste this opportunity as well. Obviously, it has not panned out to this point where you're sitting off of another homestand where you almost went winless. So yeah, I mean, I think the actual decisions that they make, does Bobby Wood Jr. play a role in some of them? The same way Salvador Perez once did, in terms of how you operated and what you owe that player when you're having conversations.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably fair. And I wonder, and we can ask JJ Piccolo this tomorrow.
Yeah, he will join us tomorrow.
He will join us tomorrow, and we'll figure out exactly where they are. Because the other part about trading pitchers is how close are Kyle Wright and how close are Alec Marsh?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's
anything for you.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's the other part when we say or anybody says, hey, sell it, all this, especially if you want to get into the Chris Bubich conversation about like in-season trade, you still have to have a rotation this year and next year. I mean, like right now under contract next year, if you, in this hypothetical, if you moved on from, which they probably will, Lugo, if this thing continues going the direction it is, because he is on an opt-out. So whether they trade him or not, he's opting out. So most likely you don't have Lugo unless he comes back. If you traded Bubich, he's gone. So Reagan's also hurt. I want to remind everybody right now. So next season, what do you have? Cole Reagans, Noah Cameron, and missing one other name, escaping me right now. Reagans, Cameron.
Lorenzen? Is he under contract for another year into this one?
Kyle Wright. I mean, my point is all of a sudden, as much as it sounds, hey, go trade a pitcher to go get multiple outfielders. I'm fine with trading one of them. I don't know if you can convince me necessarily that Chris Bubich should be on the move, unless you tell me there's some other pitcher that I'm not aware of that exists on this staff that they feel great about.
Now you got me checking free agents for next year, but I mean, what pitchers are they? They're not going out there getting whatever the big. Ooh, not a great free agent list next year. Deal with that later, I guess, in the future.
Yeah, we'll talk more about. Some of the trading stuff tomorrow, too.
Now, one of the other things, we've consistently talked about the stadiums. We'll get back to that in just a minute. And you and I both said, like, hey, we probably shouldn't bring up NBA or WNBA teams in town or NHL teams in town until they figure out how to keep the two teams actively in the area. Happy and
Waka, sorry. Thank you.
Waka.
Thank you.
And in the area.
So 3.
But the WNBA did announce their massive expansion. 3 more teams. They got 2 more teams coming the year. They're going to go from having 11 to 12 teams a couple of years ago to having 18 teams. And look, setting aside the obvious here, which is 2 years ago, a team got into the league for $50 million, and now it costs $250 million. And you should all be thanking Caitlin Clark every single day if you are one of the other WNBA owners or one of the players who are likely to earn a lot more money over the upcoming years as a result of her bringing up the profile of your league significantly. This is fantastic news for the WNBA. But if you thought Kansas City was close, they've added like 5 cities in the next 5 years, and you're not one of them. So, like, it doesn't feel like Kansas City's any closer to WNBA, NBA, NHL,
all of them have NBA teams, too.
Yeah, I don't, like, at this point, truly, like, I know we joke about it, but I don't really want to mess with adding another franchise to this market right now until we know what ultimately is going to happen with the Chiefs. Are they renovating Arrowhead? Are they building a new Arrowhead? Are the Royals going downtown? Are they going to Overland Park? Are they going wherever? Like, that stuff has to be sorted out, and the financials have to be sorted out. And what kind of public money is being used, the exact dollar amount and all that, before I think you can even really have a real conversation about NHL or WNBA. I'm convinced the NBA in our lifetime is just never coming to Kansas City, unfortunately. I think that ship has sailed. I think there's a chance in the next 20 years or something we get an NHL team. I think it's higher, obviously, for a WNBA team. But as Drew kind of pointed out for a second there, a lot of these expansion teams all are people that already have a stake in an NBA team. And so, once again, you're back to the same conversation of who's the ownership group and all that kind of stuff. And I understand Mahomes, there was talk about the current ownership and Mahomes trying to maybe pitch Kansas City on that as well. Maybe that's the answer down the road for Kansas City, fortunately with the Long family and the Mahomes family and everything. But right now, I'm just not interested in having another pro team in town right now until we get things sorted out.
I want as many pro teams as we can get. Like, I want to be like the other. I think it speaks to
some people think Kansas City has too many already. And that's not me, but some people believe for our market of our size.
What the hell? Who's saying that? And do I have to fight him?
No, I guess that's like a common thought outside of Kansas City.
I mean, there's only
think about Indianapolis. They don't have 3, they have 2, don't they? They have the Colts and they have the Pacers. They don't have a baseball team. We don't have an NBA team. We have a
depending on how you view them. Yes, they have a baseball team and they have soccer.
No, that's AAA.
That doesn't count, man.
That's like saying the Monarchs count. We got 2 baseball teams in town.
We're talking out of the major sports leagues, like the four
majors, and then I think the WNBA and MLS and those others we can entertain. But if you've got
does not have NHL either. They've got ECHL. They've got minor league soccer, which could become MLS soon. But
they don't even have MLS soccer.
Nope. The point is pick other markets similar to Kansas City. They have really 2 of the major 4 pro teams. Let alone now you're asking for a third. That's all.
I think that if we were to say what's more likely, WNBA, NBA, or NHL, I think WNBA actually is sooner than all of them because of what the current have been able to do. And
women's sports are having a good growth period here as well. And the current
I think
building
that helps
their own stadium.
a lot, actually.
The same thing always applies, too. It's like if you threw a few $1 million or, I'm sure it's more than that, but you get the point. You threw some money at Sprint Center, they would probably be playing at the nicest WNBA arena and if it's only theirs, then they're really getting down.
The Golden State Warriors.
No, I understand. Did they do a brand new facility for them?
They play where the WNBA Golden State Valkyrie or whatever it's called.
I'm just saying non-shared stadium, I guess. Sorry, I apologize. Okay. I've looked this up before. The Sprint Center would be like the 10th newest stadium in the NHL. Like right now. Like today. So like from
it's a really nice
arena. T-Mobile. But so like when you look at,
yeah, I know.
They don't pay me to say it right, I guess.
Whatever it is.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Sandstone.
Yeah, Sandstone.
Yeah.
Azura, Arrowhead, for that purpose.
Yeah.
Call it whatever the hell I want, I guess. When you look at what they're positioning, though, I am interested. Like, I guess I'm curious where Kansas City fans would be on it. I do think Caitlin Clark's impact cannot be overstated.
Of course. The ratings were evident. She's hurt. She happens to be hurt again right now. Unfortunately, she's missed a couple of games. But go back when she was actually out for 2 weeks or whatever it was. The numbers were out there. Like, it's not even like some made up thing. You can look them up. The TV ratings in games when she was unavailable, the ticket sales. in the attendance of some of those games, everything dipped. She is the league right now, and that doesn't mean that there aren't other very, very talented players. But in terms of getting the casual fan to potentially check out your league, check out your sport, she's who does that right now.
I think it's crazy, too, because it's not only the TV ratings, it's also the All-Star votes. Like
there's the numbers.
3 years ago, Asia Wilson, who's maybe the best player in the entire league, got 79,000-ish votes. Caitlin just got 1.2 million. And somebody who's not even on the Fever, Nafisa Collier, who's having a great season, she has 1.1 million. Like
which means just more people voted on it because more people.
It's the entire thing, all of it combined together.
Credit to them as a league. They are trying to take advantage of the single best growth opportunity this league has ever had. They have been pretty stagnant in the number of teams they have had for some time. They expanded, and instead of just being like, let's see how this fits with the number of teams they've got, they're like, no, let's triple down on the expansion and get more teams year by year by year, build fan bases because, not surprising, the Fever are one of the top teams in attendance. The Valkyrie are number one because they're an expansion team. They're also in a big market, but they're an expansion team.
They have the highest value of any team in the league, too.
If a WNBA team, they got their team for free, by the way. They paid a $50 expansion fee. All the teams will get $50 million just for these new teams coming into the league. And now they would have had to pay $250 million. They pretty much just instantly got hundreds of millions of dollars in equity at the time they bought their team, the Valkyrie. But good for them for not sitting on their hands. They're trying to expand their league when they get the chance to do it.
Maybe the players in the league that are making money off of Caitlin Clark should do their best to not, intentionally try to make sure that it's a miserable experience in terms of intentionally, eventually going to get her hurt in a game. It's one thing to have a rivalry, not like an opponent. That happens in sports. We actually like that in sports and rivalries and all that. But some of the way things have been done,
the welcome to the WNBA
has been very weird. Been very, very weird for the cash cow of your league. That's going to cause you to make a lot more money.
There's a lot more star names, too. Like that was a conversation, I think, that it made it all the way to even the national level. There's more star players coming from college to the WNBA than there are notable names going from college in men's hoops to the NBA itself. Of course, Cooper Flagg is obviously
I don't know about
name.
But
no, if you look at recent draft classes, more people know Caitlin Clark. Like if you go,
yes.
If you go to, even Angel Reese, people know who she is more than. I could actually.
But that's the same Caitlin Clark thing, as far as I'm concerned. That's all connected.
Yeah, I think there's merit to that. Also, Juju Watkins is going to be. She might be the best player in the league.
I just don't know the casual. I don't know the casual fan. Even in our audience, how many people listening know who Juju Watkins is? You know what I'm saying? I think that's very inside. That's a collegiate athlete.
I think more people know who Juju Watkins is than they do the starting guard for Kansas State, though. Here in Kansas City,
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true.
You're
nationally, you asked in Kansas City.
She got a meal at McDonald's.
You asked in Kansas City, though. I think nationally, there's no question nationally she's more popular. You asked,
she might have one somewhere else. Every fast food chain does
in Kansas City.
Yeah. There's 4 players that have shoe deals.
Sure,
in the WNBA now.
For sure. Nationally is not the. Yeah, you were asking locally.
Slightly different circumstances.
Sure.
All right, up next, let's talk more about the Royals. Jack Caglianone, his numbers, disappointing start to his 23-game big league career. What needs to change there? Plus the random question of the day.
Watch Cody and Gold on YouTube by subscribing to the 96.5 YouTube channel. Cody and Gold is brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Go Yard all baseball season long with Underdog's Champions Game. It's one of the leading places to make all your sports selections, and you can play in your state. On the Missouri side, I don't care why you're sitting at the lake this weekend. Millions of fans have already won billions playing at Underdog. Why not be next? Super easy. Download the app. Choose whether a player goes higher or lower than your favorite stats. And you can mix and match sports too, but for baseball, right? Higher or lower than home runs, strikeouts, total bases, and so much more. Once your entry feels good, you can play with as little as $1. Get everything right. You can win up to 1,000 times your money over at Underdog. Why not wait? Don't wait and find out. Look, you've been at the K. You're like, I wish I could bet higher or lower than whether or not these strikeouts are coming. You could have been doing that over at Underdog. Download the Underdog app today. Sign up using that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
Going out to eat just got a serious upgrade, Kansas City. 30 Hop is your new go-to. An American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. Now open in Lee Summit and just opened at Miriam's Grand Station. As the proud lunch partner of the Cody and Gold Show, 30 Hop truly has something for everyone. Stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour. 30hop.com. That's 30hop.com. Local beer, American Eats, big patio.
Men, summertime is here, and that means vacations, summer barbecues, outdoor parties, camping, beaches, and so much more. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're like many men, you may not be feeling like yourself this summer. Perhaps your energy is low and you aren't sleeping well. Maybe your workouts aren't as good as they used to be. And if what I'm describing is you, it's very likely you're suffering with low testosterone. But low T doesn't have to affect you anymore. Just call Heartland Men's Health, get treated, and see how it changes your life. If you're like most men, you'll feel so much better. Deeper sleep, improved vitality and clarity, greater strength and energy, and an enhanced sex drive as well. So call us. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T-test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Did storms hit your area? Looking for answers on the impact it made to your roof? Then it's time to schedule a zero-pressure, in-depth inspection with Century Roofing's trusted roofing experts. We will determine if enough damage exists to warrant filing a claim. See for yourself why Century Roofing has been voted Best of Johnson County for the 3rd year in a row. Trust the pillars of strength for 35 years. KC-based and female-owned. Century Roofing, KC.com.
Century Roofing, trust the pillars of strength.
Gear up, race fans. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend is roaring into Iowa Speedway July 11th to the 13th, featuring the only NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader weekend on the 2025 schedule. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend has become one of the most anticipated and action-packed events in racing. Tickets are going fast. Score yours today and get ready to feel the rush at the fastest short track on the planet. Visit IndyCar@Iowa.com for tickets. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend at Iowa Speedway, the ultimate summer racing event.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Lowe's knows how to set off your July 4th with savings. Right now, buy one, get one free on select one-coat coverage interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Plus, get 2 select 2 or 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals for just $10. Hurry, these July 4th deals won't last long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for more details.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
Do you disregard people's personal space? Sitting next to people in public, even if there are tons of open seats? Do people ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Mattress Firm's 72-hour sale is happening now. Save up to 72% off on top brands, with queens starting at $149.99. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins? I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying forwarded. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Stay comfortable year-round with expert HVAC installation done right the first time. Enjoy a new HVAC system starting at $150 a month. Schedule your consultation today at anthonyphce.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 8 minutes or so. Don't forget, lunch hour. Think about where you should go to eat this afternoon or also take the family tonight. Well, 30 Hop is that answer. On Mondays, they have $5.99 classic burgers. 30 Hop located in Lee Summit. Also, a brand new location in Merriam, right in the Grand Station apartment area there. Beautiful new bar and location. They're the new go-to in town. American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. You can stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour, 30hop.com.
Here's a pre-random question before the actual random question.
Oh, boy.
Well, because it was happening in the city, so it seems relevant, at least at the moment. Am I wrong for not wanting to drink the funky-smelling water in Kansas City, even though they've said it's safe to drink? They're like, it's totally normal that it reeks of metal or whatever, and you're like, maybe I just wait a couple of days until you said it smells normal.
Is this in North KC or in the Missouri
Kansas
side?
City water, just in general. It's not just North Kansas City. It's like just the Kansas City water system. So
I haven't had
say people voting Frank White out, roughly. You know.
So you're refusing to drink your water?
I'll just drink bottled water until this.
You're only
reek.
doing. They said it's fine. You don't believe it.
Look. I'm sure they've told a lot of people. I'm sure they told the people of Chernobyl it was fine. As they were, like,
okay.
What? I'm just gonna like trust everything local government all of a sudden. I could just wait 2 days until it's not weird.
Okay.
They do say it's fine, by the way. So I guess you can. But I think I'll just go bottle water for 2 days. That didn't seem all that bad, right?
I mean, do whatever you want. Go for it.
I'll drink water at work.
You're saying that while you're at home, if you heard the faucet turning, you were like, no.
No, I'm not stopping that much. I'm just saying, and out of the fridge, I guess it's filtered anyway, so maybe I could just drink the fridge water for now. Now people are just talking about the parts of the city they think has the best water.
I've told you, there's definitely some cities. Water's great.
A little hard in Gladstone, I'm afraid.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You run into that?
I kind of feel like
Mine's
I need
fine.
soft water.
Yeah, just get a water softener or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I need that, but
no, in Overland Park,
Park,
it's been fine. I've told you, I've lived in some city. Like when I went to Boise, Idaho initially, I got sick the first week I was there. Water's a little bit different. The filter rate is a little bit different. That was fine ultimately, but for the first week, I was like, why is my stomach upset? And then I Googled and I talked to people there. They're like, oh yeah, our water's a little bit different. So my stomach had to adjust to it. I got sick the first week when I was in Boise.
So weird.
Yeah, I had stomach problems because of the water, and then it was all good.
I was just reminded, we were just talking about all this. I was like, those are more money than you think. I didn't even tell you. What was it, yesterday? Sunday? One of the days this weekend, unfortunately, I feel like I've lost the second kid of this too.
What?
Desmond, my son, said, he's like, how come I just have this blue backpack with my name on it? It's kind of boring. What's a different backpack too? I was like, how come these kids won't just accept the backpack gold that I've given them to make it through elementary school?
I got to give
them a new backpack every year? They're nice backpacks. They've got their names on them. They're well taken care of. We clean them.
Well, they don't need ones with their names on. I'll just get them new backpacks for next year. She's older. Get her a new backpack. She'll be 10 next year at school. Get her a new backpack.
Every 5 years, Cody. There you go. Every 5 years is a stretch.
I know. I just didn't think it's all that crazy to think I'm going to buy a high quality. I'm about that life. I want a high quality product that lasts me a long time. I would rather spend more money up front for something that will last me a while than go buy some cheap ass backpack for $20 that disintegrates by the end of the school year.
You're trying to ingrain that same sort of thinking into your kids' brains as well. Like one thing that lasts 5 years instead of one new thing every year.
It's important. That's all. Sorry. That's just real quick life philosophy. How about you, Gold? Do you prefer a higher quality product for a higher price?
Usually.
It's better. Yeah. It's better for everyone all around. Let's talk about Jack Caglianone. This show was obviously very excited to see him get called up to the big leagues. It has not gone great. I'm not going to try to pretend like it has. It hasn't. I will point out one stat, and then we can talk about exactly what's going on with Jack Caglianone. Bobby Wood Jr., through his first 23 games of his big league career, hit .229 with a .264 on base and a .349 slug. Quite bad. Not as bad as Jack Caglianone, hitting .165 with a .211 on base and a .271 slug. But both not good. Let's just admit that. Bobby got around to it a little bit sooner than Cags. Bobby is one of the three best players in the entire sport. So I'll give it a little bit of run. The problem at the moment is that Cags has gone to the guessing part of it. But because of where I think the team is from the previous conversation, and because I don't think Jack Caglianone was being tested at the double or triple A level, I am in zero rush to not let Jack Caglianone figure out his offensive woes at the major league level. Gold, I think it's the only solution. I know there's some people that are asking, I've had people ask me, how long before you would send Jack Caglianone back to AAA? And I am nowhere near entertaining that at the moment.
Yeah, so it's 23 games, number one. That's the first answer. The other part of it is, if we all agree that this is a franchise worse offense and you have some established big leaguers struggling, why do you think the rookie would be the only person not having a problem? Now, am I surprised that we're sitting here 23 games in and he's hitting 165? Of course. I think, Cody, if you were being honest, you'd say the same thing as well, right? Like, none of us thought 23 games into his big league career he'd be having a 165 average and a 211 on base percentage. I would have been surprised by that. This is why, though, that I am stunned that the current hitting staff is still intact. Not only because of the current big league results and the entirety of the season to this point with the franchise worst offense, but I am worried that in terms of his development, that could cause a problem for him being around some of the same voices that has led to very little to show in terms of production. The one case you can say is Michael Garcia obviously bounced back and had an unbelievable season compared to a season ago. That might be their best example.
He just sent out a tweet. Michael Garcia, shout out to all the people who doubted me.
And good for him. He's having a great year. So if you want to say, well, they were able to get him corrected, sure, but this is a franchise worst offense. So my concerns with Caglianone are more worried about, like, hey, what's happening with his development around these individuals, not him directly, right? Like, I think it's way too early, and I also would say going down to the minors, to me, what good does that solve for him? If we all agreed at the time that the competition was not good enough for him in AAA, going down there is what? I mean, what does that do for him at this point in time? No, they're going to ride this thing out the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And they should. They should give him time to adjust to the major leagues.
But the guy's not hitting it out of the infield. That's where I go back. Like, Alex Zumwalt and others on this hitting staff, it doesn't make any sense to me. He looks like a completely different player at the plate. You can say, oh, well, it's because he's going up against big league pitching, you idiot. I understand that, but his entire approach and everything looks a little different. And the pop that everybody is agreed, whether it was in Kansas City or nobody had any ties to Kansas City, that, hey, the power potential is Aaron Judge-like and Ohtani-like and all this. And guys, we're all watching the same game, aren't we? I mean, these are ground balls going to second base.
I heard other people, I think Dusty maybe talked about it on the morning too, and I've seen this. Is there any argument for once again shifting the lineup so that he's got more protection? I don't know what, like, having Nick Lofton hit behind him does as far as pitchability. Like, and I know that sounds silly. Why would you offer a benefit to a guy who's not hitting? And you're like, well, to protect him so that he actually has a threatening force behind him. So maybe they actually have to throw him a pitch. Like, and I know that that's like silly, but like, I also thought that was part of the issue for Salvador Perez in the early part of the season is, well, I'm just going to throw him 17 straight unhittable pitches. And I know that Salvi will chase it. So will Jack. And you could just say, hey, make the adjustment. Don't chase those pitches. But there's no real threat at the later part of the lineup. The other part about this is who's going to protect him anyway. I just told you it's the league worst offense, so it goes in there. Look, he looks like a guy who's guessing right now. He just looks like a young player. Am I panicked about Jack Caglianone's career over 23 games? Absolutely not. I think that'd be crazy. And I think you'd be on the far too end of the pessimism to say, let's panic about Jack Caglianone's future as a big leaguer over that. You're saying, I just don't want the wrong people in charge of making sure that doesn't occur.
Correct.
Versus the actual player themselves, but I do think that's it. And it's just like, and this is tough because you're saying he's hitting the ball. People don't like hearing you saying he's hitting the ball hard. Well, but he's at like the May part of the schedule. So it's actually not, that's like, you said you didn't want to hear that after like a team got to like June when they had started in June. You can still say it's good that Jack Caglianone's hitting the ball hard now. You can't say it after about 45 to 60 games.
Again,
it's early enough in his career, it's fine.
Where he's in a bad spot, though, is because the offense as a whole stinks out loud.
Yeah, it's the worst offense of baseball.
You know, everything's magnified. Every little thing is magnified. Each one of his at-bats, everybody's at-bat, every little moment. Some of these 20-game stretches happen in a season where your offense is just average and nobody freaks out. But when your offense is the worst in franchise history, a series is magnified. A game, your 0 for 4 day seems magnified.
Yeah, because if he were hitting alone, it would not solve your offensive problems of this team.
I do think I'm off base with the concern, though, with where the organization is at the big league level in developing hitters. Because I understand, like Vern disagrees with me on this. We've asked him about it on the show before. And I'm
probably in between you and Vern.
When you look at, Kyle Isbell is your number 9 hitter. He's developed. Has he developed into a better hitter? Yes, but look at his numbers. I don't have that. Was it like 260 something on base or something? It's my point is if
his on base is whatever his batting average is.
Okay,
pretty much.
Yeah, fair enough. The point is if that's your that's the trophy in the trophy case is that congrats that's what you've developed. Like Michael Garcia, that's the other name I guess you'll give me 1 year turnaround.
Yeah.
Where MJ Melinda, in terms of overall development, though, and by the way, Zumwalt was in the minors. You know this. I'm just telling our audience. You know this. He was in the minors with some of these guys, and he knows them. But MJ Melendez obviously did not develop the way they thought he would develop. Gavin Cross is stuck in the minors at this point in time. Doesn't seem like all that
positive.
Have
a lot of success stories in the hitting department. Bobby Wood Jr. is the biggest one, and Vinny are the biggest ones probably. And then you get stuck
Bobby
between
Wood Jr.
Are they good enough?
Fair or not. I'm not trying to discredit everything, but Bobby Wood Jr. My guess is would have been all right just about anywhere he ended up.
I agree. Vinny, who knows? But he is a very good hitter, and I think this is the problem that we're having the disconnect on. The players do still seem to like him, Zumwalt. And so
players like Romeo Crennel and the Chiefs hired to be their head coach. I don't care. I mean, that's to a certain extent.
I'm not saying that. I'm probably between you and Vern. If they did something, if they got rid of Zumwalt, I'm not here to be like, oh no. I think someone's got to be held accountable. And I think sometimes, even if they're better at their job than we're purporting, I don't think Alex Zumwalt is the dumbest hitting coach on the planet. Can't do anything. I'm not saying you think that either. There are people who are saying that. Yeah. I do not believe that to be the case. I think he would probably be a successful hitting instructor in a lot of organizations, just like he was with the previous organization in which he was teaching hitting. But the message or the results are so bad at this point. You've held every player accountable on the planet, and they should be held more accountable. You should always go to the players.
They've exercised everything internally on the player side. They really have. Right. I mean, short of what unless your argument is that they should have called up Cam Devaney or something. With all due respect, he's 28 years old. He's not a long-term solution. I'm sorry. So
because of the injuries, that's not even like a realistic one.
Right. But. So at some point, there's some of it is like, hey, you got to show that somebody at the coaching staff level is being held accountable, but also I'm also talking about the long-term aspect of this too, not just 2025.
This is probably 20 years now. Are they the worst team at teaching power in Major League Baseball history? It's unbelievable how few power hitters come through their organization, and then the ones who appear to be power hitters, as in when MJ Melendez led all of the minor leagues in home runs for a season. They come up and they hit like 16. Or like Jack Caglianone, who only has 2 and has prestigious power. I mean, he can get a pop-up pitch to get out of the ballpark sometimes.
That's what's crazy is the power is the power part of it. It's 23 games. The power is vanished. Outside of the game in Texas, right? He had the 2 home runs. We all know that. The power seemingly doesn't exist right this second. It's bizarre.
How much of it probably shouldn't, but how much of the players actually liking Alex Zumwalt makes it not that you're tiptoeing through this, but if Bobby really likes him, not that you want, not that it irritates him or anything like that, but I don't. Do you think there's any of that going on where they don't want to make it to the point where not only are they struggling, but they're also players who are ticked off that you got rid of a guy that.
Look, we asked JJ Piccolo about. Tough, but we'll have JJ on tomorrow. But I asked him. I think Cody, you were gone. I think it was just Bink and I. But we asked him 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, or whatever. At this point in time, about his confidence level in Zumwalt. That's the one thing that they specifically mentioned was they feel like nobody knows this group of hitters better, going back to the minors as well.
Yeah, sure.
This group of hitters and how they tick and all that, then, and it's not just Zumwalt.
And they hit last year. So, like, the argument is, like,
they
with
did.
the same
So
coach.
They did. They absolutely did. Now, I will still push back a little bit on the notion of the success there with Zumwalt, because he's been with them for, 4 years now at the big league level. They were average last year. So, like, we say good. They were average offensively. Yeah. They were an average offensive team. They're now franchise worse. The year before, they were bottom 10, I think, in offense, too. So it's not like they, oh my gosh, he was just a top 10 offense a year ago. Let's give him a break. No, they were average last year offensively. They also had great They also had great pitching again.
13th last year in runs per game. And I would say, like, the talent's a little bit different going back. I wouldn't go any further back than 2023 comfortably. They were 23rd that year. So
they've had the 13th best and the 30th best. Those are the 2 years.
23rd.
3.
I wouldn't go any further back than that. And they were 24th the year before that. But the roster obviously changes a little bit during that time. I get it. Like, I'm not, again, I'm probably somewhere in between where you are and where Vern is, at least on that scenario. Because at some point, my problem is that this goes to, like I'd mentioned the Andy Reid thing. I'd make a similar argument this year if the Chiefs have the 14th best offense on Nagy. I'm not even saying he's bad at what he does, but I'd be like, it's enough.
But nobody would care if the Royals were still in line to make the playoffs somehow. Nobody would care as much. I mean, that's part of it, right? I mean, and the Chiefs, they win 15 games, go to the Super Bowl. It's hard to, then what was the consequence of it? Right now it is clearly, when you have one of the best pitching staffs you've had in a long time.
You're right.
You're wasting it. That's what's also magnified a franchise worst offense. These are games. Even against the Dodgers over the weekend, they won one. I think we're all watching. Like, you feel like there was another game there they should have won. That's the frustrating part.
Easily won the one on
Friday night.
Yeah, that was definitely the one.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew. Over in the text line, 913-586-7965. It's been a little while. I feel like I'm like borderline a little rusty on the random question, which is, of course, brought to you by Kansas City Urology Care at KCUC. Remember, UC the best in KC. Visit kcurology.com today. All right, today I have a question for you because I was having this debate a little bit as a movie that's coming out this Friday in relation to it. So there's like a new Jurassic Park movie coming out.
I want to see that new F1 movie that just came out.
They are advertising the hell out of that.
I think I'm going to go. I might go on
Apparently
Thursday.
It's very good.
Yeah. Big budget on that one. It does look very good. But a new Jurassic Park movie comes out. And so I'd say let's have drinks, we're sitting outside, let's talk conversation took place. And they thought I was crazy for this. So I'll ask you guys a question. I'll give you my answer. If they, having seen the movies, essentially created the real version of a Jurassic Park, would you go?
Yes.
So there's a theme park. Mm-hmm. There are real dinosaurs. Nothing bad's happened yet. You've just seen these movies in which a hypothetical bad thing happens. There's a real theme park. It has real dinosaurs that they've created. Would you go?
Yes, I would, because
I said I'd go too, and they're looking at me like I'm nuts.
Yeah, I would go. I mean, again, as you said, the movie is like the worst case scenario of it. That's no different. Like, there's movies where, unfortunately, there's something that goes wrong with the plane while you're flying. It doesn't mean you choose not to fly. Worst case scenario, we could play this out for everything. You'd be like, well, this is different. It's dinosaurs.
It's just like an unnecessary risk. You understand, right? Like, nobody's making you go to I might have to fly somewhere. No one's making me go to the dinosaur theme park.
No, I would say yes. I would go to the theme park. Yeah. Now I'm staying in the Humvee or whatever the whole time.
You're staying behind the fence.
I'm staying. Yeah, we're
surprised
staying on.
Both of you guys are willing to take the
here.
risk, Drew. You're willing to go to the.
Oh yeah, I'm all about it. I think it would be awesome.
Man, I can't. I thought for sure one of you. By
says,
the way, immediately someone's like, "No, I stay away from the man-eating monsters." Yeah, but I mean, I'd go see a lion at the zoo. It's not like I'd kill me.
I would rather go to real life Jurassic Park than if you told me I got to go under the ocean and go down deep in the ocean. Heck no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So before you would get in a submersible, even if it was a good one, not the one that just blew up, even if you had to get in you would instead choose the dinosaur park?
100%, I would too.
I would. The ocean is a scary place, and I have no business
I am not going
there.
in any underwater, submarine, any underwater vessel ever in my life. I would go to a Jurassic Park real world.
From the 620, well, it's nice knowing you guys. Someone says, I've seen snakes on a plane. I still get on a plane.
Exactly.
But this is if there were snakes on the plane, would you get on it? I'm not saying you've seen a fictional movie. I'm saying if you knew there was a plane full of snakes, would you get on it? Your answer is no.
I think in fairness, the snakes on a plane and the submersible is a little bit different because, and not that you can't escape, not that you would escape, but there's nowhere you can go on the plane or the submersible. Like you are stuck where you are.
Yeah.
You can't even try to get out.
You're saying you could hypothetically survive this? Because I'll say
you can attempt to survive Jurassic Park. Maybe you can at least try to get out.
Twice a year on this show during Trash of the Day, it's chimpanzees loose. Zebra got out. So, like, just to be clear, we're not even good at keeping the animals at the regular zoo. So, like, if you went to this Jurassic Park, there's a non-zero chance one gets out at least for a bit. I'm not saying it's like
if a dinosaur gets out, there's no there's
and
no
you just gotta hope it's not a
rallying
raptor or something. You know, you gotta hope it's one of the slow, nice ones, not not the man-eating type.
Yeah, no, they're not dinosaurs by any means, but as you were saying, like people go on these safari things in Africa or whatever, and they're in their little Jeep Humvee, and the lion's right next to them. You know, and I understand lion's not a T-Rex or Velociraptor, but still, the point, like, there's some of that. I'm just totally anti, like, going underwater in, like, deep in the ocean. Totally out on that.
Out completely.
Oh, no chance.
I'd much rather go to space than the ocean. The ocean, like, space, there's nothing. Great. I gotta get some dead satellites up there. The only ocean is terrifying.
The only part with the difference, so I would agree with you. I think I would choose space over ocean. But the problem with that, only worst case scenario is, at least in the ocean, if something went bad and something's going to eventually, I'm either going to pass out or it's going to eat me. Okay, quickly. In space, the worst scenario is you're just floating in space for days, and you know you're done. Yeah, you're just floating in space. You're alive, but you're just floating.
Oh, you're saying like your suit's still working, and you get separated
until eventually you run out of oxygen. But like you're there, and you know you're about to die.
Yeah, you could probably open something.
You go in the water
a little quicker.
You go in the water, something's eating you pretty darn quick.
I think you could find a way to like cut a hole in your suit and speed up the process a little bit.
I don't know.
I don't want to say for sure, but you know.
People swim with sharks. People go skydiving. Lots of examples of people taking risks for thrill seeking. That's from the 316.
I think it'd be a very popular theme park, even
sure
with
would be.
the movie franchise.
Did Cody just compare a zoo and lions to a T-Rex and raptors in a jungle?
Not all. There's other small dinosaurs.
I think there's a comp to be made in terms of the experience.
Some of them only want to eat plants anyway, so you're good.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to eat meat.
Herbivores. They don't. They got nothing to do with meat.
Not all of them are carnivores.
They're just trying to live their life.
Yeah,
they put extra security typically on the carnivore side of things.
Oh, do they? Is that right?
They do.
Have they told you that?
It's just in observing being at a zoo. We were at the Fort Worth Zoo. My kid was teasing the cheetah. I told you.
Well, that's the other look. That's the other thing. You go to Jurassic Park and you want to start throwing rocks at the T-Rex. Okay, well then you're in trouble. Yeah, you're in big trouble at that point.
Probably a bad idea. I will say that the one thing they should do is maybe don't create the new super dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's where they got in trouble. That's where
that
they got in
seems
big
to be the
trouble.
mistake they consistently make at the new Jurassic Park movies. They keep creating super dinosaurs so that people don't get bored, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's a wild notion, by the way, that the park's been open for 10 years and nobody's coming into it anymore, so we got to create a super... No one thinks a T-Rex is cool after 10 years. I find that hard. I still go to the zoo, and I've seen a lion 15 times. You tell me a T-Rex
do they not have
is going to wear out?
Do they not have new exhibits all the time, though, for a reason?
Yeah, but just like honors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not mega dinosaurs. They didn't have to escalate it to that point. Just rotate out the ones that you have available.
They said as long as there's a petting zoo, they'll go to the dinosaur petting zoo.
Feed the giraffes. You want to just like feed the brachiosaurus or whatever.
That is the random question of the day. Up next, we'll talk about a rare NFL trade. We normally don't see trades like this. What does it actually mean for the AFC? And a little update on the stadium front. Cody and I were gone last week. Want to give our opinions on where things stand now, as technically today was the original deadline for the Star Bonds. Those have obviously been extended. That's coming up here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Summertime, which means sitting out on your deck. Maybe you need a new deck. Maybe you've been dreaming of that backyard. Maybe you need a repair. All-weather decks. It's Kansas City's most respected deck builder and a 24-time winner of Angie's List Super Service Award. All Weather Decks has the right deck at the right price. Doesn't matter the type of work you're looking for. Wood deck, composite deck, pergola. Look, I've got 4 decks in the house. You think I don't know about decking? This is certainly the company you want to trust. Easy process. They've got a showroom if you want to look through the process. Gave you a checkbox of every single thing, right? So you go through the process and you're like, all right, here's a feature I want, don't want, change this. They make it so easy to customize it for exactly what you want. So if you've been looking at that dream deck, or looking at repairs on your outdoor area, All Weather Decks is the call. Give them a call, 913-206-1974 or allweatherdecks.net.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Hey there, Royals fans. It's Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney. Have you or your kids experienced a high school coach who wants to make our Kansas City community a better place to live, work, and play? The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation, together with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, are shining a spotlight on 6 impactful coaches in the KC metro area. Nominate a high school coach today at royals.com/coaches with character.
The 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, and it starts at Hy-Vee. They have all of our grilling favorites like prime reserve steaks, chicken, ribs, and Hy-Vee's famous specialty brats. And then, of course, the side dishes, potato or pasta salad, fruit, veggie, fiesta party trays, and all sorts of desserts like themed cookies, cakes, and cupcakes. And don't forget about the wine and spirits department. Hy-Vee has a huge selection of wine, craft beer, seltzer, and spirits. Get all your 4th of July needs only at Hy-Vee.
Let the celebration begin this week at Hy-Vee. Just 5 days to save big on everything you need for the perfect 4th of July. Load up the grill with tender pork loin ribs, just $2.99 a pound. Add party-size Frito-Lay chips for $3.99. Coke or Pepsi 8-pack bottles and 12-pack cans, just $3.99. And whole seedless watermelon, only $3.98 each. Stock up on your favorite beer, seltzer, wine, or spirits, and get the party started this Wednesday through Sunday only at Hy-Vee.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
Say hello to Wendy's new 2-for-4 Biggie Bundle. Choose from the JBC made with fresh, never frozen beef, crispy chicken sandwich, 6-piece nugs, or small soft drink. Any 2 for just $4. It's like the reunion special you've been waiting for, but the only drama is watching you try to pick just 2. For a deal as fresh as the meal, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Request 2 for $4 Biggie Bundles to obtain discount. Individual items at regular price. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. Alaska.
Is that knee, hip, or shoulder pain not getting any better? And now you're stuck in a cycle of steroid shots and they're talking surgery? Well, before you go down that road, hit pause for a second. Hey, it's Bob Fesco. I want to tell you about something that helped a lot of people get their lives back without more meds, without going under the knife. It's QC Kinetics. They're the leaders in regenerative medicine. They use treatments like advanced cellular therapy and platelet-rich plasma, all designed to actually help your body heal itself. They're not masking the pain. It goes right to the root of the pain and helps your body's ability to heal itself. And this is critical. 92% of patients report satisfaction with their results. That's not just a number. It's peace of mind that you're exploring something that's truly working for people just like you. And it doesn't cost anything for a second opinion. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
If you're a small business owner looking to improve or expand your business, you're probably faced with choices. Things like more inventory or paying bills or taxes, and tariffs that have you in a cash crunch. Choosing can be hard when you need them all for a clear path to success. At LendSeek, we don't think you should have to choose between the things you need to grow and improve your business. At lendseek.com, you'll find our exclusive AI-based lending marketplace where you can access up to $1 million in business funding with minimal paperwork, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how the funds are put to work. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with annual revenue of at least $500,000, our online AI-enabled platform can connect your business to over 100 funders with funding in as fast as 24 hours. Whether you own a local retail shop, contracting company, online business, or professional services, we've got you covered. Apply today with no cost and no obligations at lendseek.com. LENDSEEK.com.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
Do you disregard people's personal space? Sitting next to people in public, even if there are tons of open seats? Do people ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Mattress Firm's 72-hour sale is happening now. Save up to 72% off on top brands, with queens starting at $149.99. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
1 o'clock hour here on a Monday in Kansas City. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you.
I did officially apply to be an extra.
Right. You and I are locked in for Ted Lasso application to be on season 4. Drew, are you going to do this?
I gave them an availability of any day of the week at any time under any circumstances. I am available is the point.
You'll deny.
Well, last time my availability was incredibly limited for the Hallmark movie. Because I was going to be gone I was dance and in Colorado, so I was gone for like 2 full weeks the middle of the shooting time. So my availability was
I will apply as well, yes.
You should apply. All three of us should apply, and we'll see if any of us get on this.
Drew gets on it.
We're Hallmark. I mean, the funniest thing for the show would
so mad.
The funniest thing for the show would be once again if somebody else if Drew got it now and then you were still boxed out of this thing.
Just give me a chance. You know? That's all I'm saying. If you're listening, talent agency.
They're based out of LA. They're handling. They don't know who any of us are. They really
give
don't.
Me a chance.
This is not like, it's some local thing. Like, no, they're based out of LA or just random people to them. They have no idea. So this is not like, you have a leg up because you're on the radio or anything. Nope. It's just based on the little profile thing they had us fill out and a couple photos. You sent in 4 photos?
I did. I sent in 4 photos.
Which photos?
Tried to show the rules were no sunglasses.
Yeah.
They wanted one that was just
a
like
selfie.
They wanted one that was like one that was like shoulders up. I dug through
shoulders up, as in what?
Like here. Like they didn't want.
Profile.
They said it wouldn't be bad to have one that was like full body. So I sent one where I was like just a little nicer. So you're like, I tried to show casual, dressy. I tried to show the mini face.
Yeah, I have a variety on mine. I sent in. One was sent in with me wearing a suit for the full body one. I was wearing a suit for that one.
So just trying to find my way. Just trying to find my way. Good luck to all of you. Terrible luck, and I hope I get it instead of you.
913-586-7965. Man, I said, Cody, you can't win a hot dog derby, and now if you might be 0 for 2 on a movie/show.
Okay, in fairness, I am 0 for 4 in hot dog derbies, not 0 for 2. So I'd be 0 for 6 lifetime in those things. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to be exactly like Michael Garcia's tweet if I ever win a hot dog derby.
Oh, yeah, but you're 0 for 4.
Thanks to all the
haters. But
you're
0 for 4, though.
I don't care. If I win one.
People are going to say eventually, you're 0 for 4.
I don't care if I'm 0 for 20. The day I win a hot dog derby.
Yeah.
I'll be still proud of myself.
I don't know if that's going to fly the same way, man. I don't know if that's going to be the same thing.
I'm not going to say it's my proudest moment.
It's not like a Super Bowl ring where you're 0 for 5 in Super Bowls and you finally win one. Yeah, people will give you credit for finally winning that Super Bowl ring. The hot dog derby,
it's essentially my version of it.
I guess so.
I'm never going to play in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at least we've got to that point. You have admitted that you will not play in a Super Bowl. I'm glad we've gotten there on this show.
Cody would pull a Pete Weber.
40 years old.
Cody would pull a Pete Weber as soon as he went, who do you think you are? I am.
Oh, that's an all-time moment. Yeah. That's an all-time moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, yeah. So we'll let you guys know over the next week or two. I guess maybe we'll find out if anybody gets called.
You'd think that they'd be
we'll find out if anybody gets called
pretty quick.
We'll see if any of us get as Ted Lasso season 4 is supposedly being filmed in Kansas City, or at least part of it being filmed in Kansas City. Let's talk about the NFL, something that just doesn't happen very often in the league, and those are those player-for-player trades, but that's exactly what went down today involving the Steelers and the Dolphins. So the exact trade, if you're just joining us for the first time today, the Steelers now have Jalen Ramsey in that secondary. 30-year-old, you and I think on a Hall of Fame track.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite as good as he used to be, but he's still a great player.
They also got tight end Jonnu Smith, and then they swapped 2027 picks. Minkah Fitzpatrick went back to Miami from Pittsburgh. Remember, a couple years ago, it was Minkah Fitzpatrick getting traded to Pittsburgh. So they swapped 2027 picks. They swapped members of the secondary. Jalen Ramsey, the headliner, though, in this trade, although I still think Minkah Fitzpatrick's a pretty darn good player. But I don't know. He goes back down to Miami. It doesn't move the needle. I think did the Steelers get better? If we're just asking that question, yeah, I think they got better. But they're paying him $26 million a year in Jalen Ramsey, unless the Dolphins are eating some of that money, which you would think they might. And better as in what? Like, are they a 10-win team versus 9, an 11-win team versus 10? Maybe. Like, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jalen Ramsey swap's not worth a win. Are they a better defense with Porter Jr. and Jalen Ramsey back there? Yeah, yes. I think so. I think that's fair to say.
They got better. It's more just telling in like how I've never seen the Steelers organization be this in. They are all in. They have pushed every chip to the center that they have available to play. Now, look, Aaron Rodgers alone could have almost been enough of a sign of that. But just as a whole, I've never seen them just like not sell their soul, but do anything they can in order to get over that. And that includes Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey. And I think the fifth in the Minkah Fitzpatrick they sent back in exchange for it. Look, it seems like it's kind of trading two corners who maybe wanted to, Jalen Ramsey wanted out and wanted to be paid the amount of money. He got a small raise by going to Pittsburgh, and Minkah Fitzpatrick once played in Miami. Maybe he just wanted to go back there where he had some success before. Miami was in an all-in situation a couple of years ago and has now had to rein it back in because of financial or lack of success or all the other reasons. I told you earlier, I still think this says a lot about Tomlin and them trying to figure out where the next steps of their franchise are. And if this team without a quarterback can just have one of those weirdo one-off years. Can you guys think of an example of that working, though? Can you guys think of an example of a one-off winner in the NFL?
I mean, Brady and the Bucs.
I mean,
that's the GOAT, but that's the GOAT, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, single best quarterback to ever play. So, okay. But like
Manning, it was carried by the defense, but Manning went to Denver, won right away.
God, but I guess Aaron Rodgers, maybe they're viewing it as that.
But those were teams that Brady is the best of all time.
Well,
and
that's
then
why you go after Jalen Ramsey. You're going to say we're going to be that kind of defense.
Manning had a historically great defense. It wasn't just like the number one defense that year. The Broncos still to this day, that 2014, right?
But that first year with Peyton Manning, he was still 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. He was still like Peyton Manning. He was still a star. I understand the year they won the Super Bowl, it was not the case. I guess the question you ask yourself is, does Aaron Rodgers have one more year like that in him?
Yeah, I disagree with someone on the text line thinks Ramsey's washed. They think Fitzpatrick is better than Ramsey. Then explain the trade to me. Like, I disagree with that. I don't think the Steelers traded a player they think is clearly better for a washed player.
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Drew was out here claiming he was like, he said he was one of the most overrated players in NFL history or something earlier.
I did not say that. I said I did not say that. I said I think Jalen Ramsey is a bit overrated. That's what I said.
You said way overrated.
Overrated, way overrated.
You did not say a bit.
If he's overrated, he's overrated.
He's one of the 5 best corners of the last decade. He's an all-decade player. Overrated. He's a 3-time All-Pro.
Stephon Gilmore has better, not interception numbers, but in terms of completion percentage against Stephon Gilmore's a better corner than he is.
I told you, I think this is just about, like, let's give a reason to I think this is like getting the reason to fire Mike Tomlin. As in, if it doesn't work and we give you everything, then we can fire you cause-free. They've never fired a coach in their franchise's history. This is a like no cause situation because he's actually been exceeding expectations for years with bad quarterbacks. And if you give him Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey and the whole thing, then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, like I understand. I think we all said even this past season being stuck where they're at mediocrity. There's even a huge chunk of Steelers fans that believe they need to kind of tear it down, take a year, step back, get the young franchise quarterback and move forward, and maybe even with the new voice. Now, we all also agree that Mike Tomlin would be hired instantly if they got rid of him. I don't think this year is like Mike Tomlin's got to prove to us. I just think it's where things are at with the franchise for years and years. They have not taken the step back that sometimes is necessary. There's a chance this is the final year for Mike Tomlin, but I don't think it's I don't think that it's the organization needs proof of why they need to get rid of him. Like if the organization wanted to get rid of Mike Tomlin after this past season, they could have very easily.
I think, but it's harder last season because again, no expectation to win the amount they won the year before.
But
no
how high is the expectation this year? I mean, nobody thinks they're actually a Super Bowl contender.
But that's why you can fire him. If you say,
nobody
hey,
thought they were a Super Bowl contender last year
but
either.
if they're saying the expectation now should be a 10-win season, if he comes up just even slightly short of that, then they've got a better reason. Because when he's out here like doing stuff with Mason Rudolph and Russell Wilson, you're like, damn, he's even winning with these fools. It is kind of hard to make the justification a little bit.
I think what you're trying to say is the Steelers know, like they're making everybody think that they're getting better, but the Steelers believe they're the exact same team as they were before with this trade. But them having DK, them having Aaron Rodgers.
On paper, it's better.
Yes, on paper, it's better. So basically, what they can say is, look at this. It's the same results as it was last year. We knew it was going to happen because we know the type of team that this is. But now we can fire you.
I don't think it's like a test. I think they think they're going to fire him now. I think it's a test.
Yeah, so I guess if... So
they know Mike Tomlin's a good coach, but they know that they need a reason to fire him.
So
basically.
I guess first of all, I guess I disagree with the setup that you guys are both providing for the situation for starters. The second part is if they are doing what you guys are saying, what a horrific way to run an organization. We know we're really not getting much better, but we just want to have a way to prove to fans that we can fire. What a horrific way to operate. I just don't buy it, guys.
I'm not saying they're sitting behind closed doors saying, I think it is a test though. Like anything else, they're saying, all right.
Testing Mike Tomlin. What are we testing Mike Tomlin for?
Because they need a courtesy out. And again, I don't think that they're sitting in an office saying we're pre-firing.
It's the NFL, man. It's a tough business. I don't know about that.
I think they know that it hasn't been going well and that they haven't been giving him the resources that he probably needs in order to be his maximum level of successful. So before they make, let's put it this way, this is the softer way of putting it. Before they make a rash decision and let maybe a future Hall of Fame head coach go, the way Andy Reid eventually got in Philly, as B-Dub pointed out to us via text, I think before making a rash decision, they're like, you know what? We haven't loaded up old Tommy Boy in a while. Let's see what Tomlin's got. Let's give him DK. Let's give him all these things. And then if it goes south, they have their out. Like, I don't think they're trying to firing the guy.
Or they're bettering the team because they're trying to win. Like, why does it have to be about...
Well, like, why now? After years of mediocrity, they're like, Aaron Rodgers is a solution?
In their opinion, like, we don't have to agree with how it turned out, but in their opinion, they thought Russell Wilson was an upgrade from what they had the year before that. And there was only so many options. Like, I'm not disagreeing. If I was a Steelers fan, I would want them to have blown the whole thing up this past offseason. Or I guess this offseason would have been.
Yeah, you and I
like, I'm with you guys on that, like, that they're stuck. I don't think they're competing for a Super Bowl anytime soon. All that is true. I just don't believe ownership, and I would certainly hope they're not operating this way. If they are, what a mistake. That they're like, we're going to give Mike Tomlin one last chance. We're going to give him Rodgers and DK Metcalf, or else. Like, then just fire the dude 3 months ago.
I don't think they're saying it the way, like, I understand I'm pitching it. Like, I don't think that's how they're saying
you're pitching it.
I don't think they're saying it internally, but yes, I do think that teams operate.
They might fire him.
I honestly think it's genuinely foolish to think that teams occasionally don't put positions in to be like, this is why we talk hot seats and everything else.
Sure.
Sometimes they load you up as the effort to be like, okay, maybe we're not doing enough on our end.
Sure.
Here you go, Tomlin. Here it is. But it is inevitably a don't get you fired.
I'm not disagreeing. Like, we could be sitting here next January and Mike Tomlin gets fired or parts ways. Like, I'm not arguing with you guys that, like, I'm betting you that Mike Tomlin will be the head coach next January. That's not the argument. I'm just disagreeing with the setup of it. That's all.
I don't even, Cody, because you brought it up. For an organization that has literally never fired its head coach before, literally
just retired.
I feel like I don't even think it's about Mike Tomlin. I think it could be anybody up there who's it could be John Harbaugh, who's been coaching the Steelers, and it's the exact same situation of, we need a reason to actually do something we've never done in our history, in our franchise's existence.
Could have done it last year.
And this is what we...
Same thing could be applied to last year.
I know, but
I think they're not doing them right.
But you having Mason Rudolph as the quarterback, it didn't give you a good enough reason to do it.
And they brought in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields last year. You could argue the exact same thing we're discussing they tried last year, guys.
I would say that this is a higher point of that. I don't think that bringing in those two is the same. Like, I understand your point of saying we gave them something, but... Justin Fields on a 1 year, $1 million deal and Russell Wilson on a 1 year, $1 million deal is a little bit different, I think, than bringing in the for sure future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Anybody think, by the way, this means TJ Watt's getting traded? That's the way everyone's taking this. Now they brought in another person and paid him before paying TJ Watt.
He'll get paid before the season starts.
Who the hell lets TJ Watt walk.
He'll get paid before the start of the
Agreed.
season.
I have a really hard time imagining anybody lets a player of his caliber walk out the door.
It is interesting how nobody's talking about that one as much. And I don't know if it's because it's the Steelers organization versus the Bengals, but it's the exact same setup for two
Because Watt hasn't.
Nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it today on social.
Because J.J. Watt hasn't spoken as publicly. You know, Trey Hendrickson has talked. It's been very public, and it's a little bit different.
Right.
I think that's
Teams are
probably
better about keeping
that's
it
probably
in-house.
part of it. But yeah, we'll see. Like, look, if Mike Tomlin and the Steelers part ways after the season, it's probably going to be because once again they're a 9 or 10 win football team, and they're stuck in no man's land. And Rodgers retires, and at that point in time, it's time for a reset. And that would be the best thing if you're a Steelers fan to probably actually happen to you.
If you're Mike Tomlin, though, wouldn't you?
Because like this year, what happens? What happens if they win 12 games and lose in the divisional round? That gets you nothing.
Then you get a new quarterback, but Mike Tomlin's still your head coach.
It gets you nothing.
That's what it gets you.
But again, who is your quarter? Like, are they willing to risk everything for the future to go and get that guy, or are you just stuck at pick 19 again or pick 22 again? Where if you're Mike Tomlin, if you think you could go to a better situation, wouldn't you just finish this round and then resign?
No, I think he just signed a new contract, didn't he?
I don't know, but if you're Mike Tomlin, if you're tired of having the same thing come up again and tired of being this way, and you think you can
he signed
go
a
somewhere
3-year
better,
extension through the 2027 season.
because I know he wouldn't try to
$50 million deal, $16.6 million a year.
Well, then yeah, never mind.
Jeez,
he isn't denying that.
No, I'd be.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get rid of him. yeah.
You'd be firing me.
Yeah, or trade me.
Trade me. You might actually find a team to trade. That might be the way to reset. I'm not saying you get like the world, but teams
shopping Mike Tomlin after the season's over would be funny.
Teams have traded for coaches a bunch
Chiefs
of times.
the Chiefs traded for Dick Vermeil.
I know, but theoretically, hearing this, the Steelers are shopping Mike Tomlin, it would just be a wild.
That sounds weird, but
it would be a wild thing to say.
It definitely hasn't happened. Last week you had mentioned we were doing a football planning show last Friday, something our boss Steven Spector has us do to make sure that we
Every show's done it.
Bring you entertaining content for the fall / actually do the work. So we did it last week, but as a result of that, we missed Kansas being friendly and being asked by Mark Donovan and the Kansas City Chiefs, like, hey, you guys mind extending those star bonds? And I think Alex and I took it the exact same way. I took this very simple as the Chiefs do not want to make their decision before a potential, I think almost for sure, November ballot request in order to fund the renovations at Arrowhead, that they'll get part of the money from the state. And they want the star bonds around as the, if you don't vote yes for this in November, we'll just take Kansas's money. Thank you, safety net. Is that, look, Kansas doesn't have a pro team. They don't have an NFL team. So maybe they're just willing. It feels a little second fiddle to be like, we'll take your money if we don't get the money we really want. If I were Kansas, I don't think I'd love the public optics of that.
What do you have to lose?
But that's the problem, is that you don't have a pro team. And if you want to get a pro team, you might. They're coming off a little bit desperate in like, sure, as long as you need, guys, end of the year, you got it.
Yeah, look.
But they also are stuck in a spot of the Chiefs are their second choice, I think.
Yeah, look, if it's a business deal, ultimately, and if I told you had a potential business deal that could bring you billions of dollars in potential revenue to your state over the years, and you just had to agree to keep the negotiation going for another 6 months, but you had a chance. There's still a chance. Revenue you were never getting before, but there's a chance you could get all this revenue. Yeah. You'd say, well, sure, let's keep talking. Sure, yeah. Take your time.
It's just hard to take any like these could expire, and you're like, okay, but that was a joke the whole time.
I mean, they got nothing to lose there. I think there's a very real case. Once again, leverage is being played on both sides of this. Mm-hmm. Missouri's getting some leverage, or the Chiefs are playing both Missouri, I should say, and Kansas on this. Yeah, is there a chance that they go to a renovated ballot measure for a renovated Arrowhead, I should say, in November? And if it passes, then obviously they stay at Arrowhead. If it doesn't, then there's a chance that they would automatically just be able to say, all right, well, fine, Kansas, we're in. Let's go to the Kansas side and build a dome stadium. That's one scenario. The other was, do they actually need till November, or they actually think they're very close on a deal with Kansas and they announce in August or September? I don't know which one. I would tend to lean, it seems like the momentum had been that they were staying at a renovated Arrowhead. That was the thought like a week ago, that the momentum at least was trending in that direction. Yeah. And this just keeps all options open.
And that, to me, only emphasizes the fact that continues to be their top choice, is that they still want the vote. They still want the public money. Not just the Missouri side. That provides them some of the money they need. They still want the county money in order to make up whatever the loss is on the now much bigger plan. The other question I have, though, is it going to end up being the same amount of money they just asked for two teams? Because this goes back to the same thing that we kind of warned. I understand you get to vote and choose the way you vote and all that stuff, but we did warn. If the Chiefs come back for the 3.8 cents sales tax and it gets approved by Jackson County, well, you spent the same amount of money and you didn't get 2 teams. So that renovation better be way better.
Well, that was, I don't mean to what's done is done, obviously, from last April, but that was part of the whole thing in the days after we discussed is, the deal that was on the table at the time, while nobody's acting like the campaign wasn't a mess, it was.
Yeah.
But the actual financial deal on the table there, that was the better deal that Jackson County and the state of Missouri was ever going to get.
Because Missouri hadn't even guaranteed dollars. We assumed they would have given them eventually, but
the
hadn't
stadium
even guaranteed any money.
On the state level. Yeah, I mean, so that was always the thing. While there was the ego that was hurt and they got embarrassed in April of 2024 on election night, in general, both teams were all going to have more options. And this extension of the Star Bond is proof of that for the Chiefs. They've got still, Kansas just waiting. They'll take them in a heartbeat. And they still have Missouri, who obviously wants to keep them, now might require a public vote. And not to mention that, similar thing with the Royals, although a lot of people don't think they would need a public vote to stay downtown or to go downtown, but that's not like 100% definitive thing. That's just what the city has been saying publicly. I think there's still some skepticism whether or not that's actually true, that they can kind of divert the funds, if you will, to make sure that there doesn't have to be a public vote, which of course will upset some people.
Which they're probably trying to figure out now that the Missouri stuff is out of the way. I imagine there's a lot of behind doors meetings at the moment, trying to figure out if they are allowed to, what you say, move the money around in order to provide the Royals some of the cash that they may want, or Clay County, or, like the Kansas one's pretty straightforward. The money's the money. Although I continue to
people are skeptical about the bonds themselves.
Yeah.
Though. Is it actually 70%, or is it going to be 50% when it's all said and done?
Correct. Correct. That goes back to the same thing. The Missouri deal sounds worse when you hear it out loud. The Kansas one sounds better when you hear it out loud, but they might be the same damn deal.
Well, the Missouri state funding is more firm.
Yep, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, but the Kansas one is better. This is the ceiling floor conversation we just said. Currently, the ceiling is better on the Kansas one, but the floor is better on the Missouri one. So it just kind of depends on which version of the deal you kind of want. Oh, God, these stadium things. I do think the Chiefs are setting it up for. You don't think they'd go as far as in the ad campaign just saying, vote for this or we're out, right?
No, but everybody would know that's, of course, what would be.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that's what I thought it was the first time. It's only more secure now that Kansas has put the funds up front and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Be hard to. It is a little bit boy who cried wolf. If for the second time you're like, hey, don't vote for this, we could leave.
But this time it would be, if in fact,
a lot more realistic.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the only option at that point. If they chose renovating Arrowhead, public ballot in November, and if it failed, then I don't know anybody that wouldn't. I mean, it'd be pretty obvious what's going to happen at that point in time.
Yeah. God. In retrospect, if you knew all it was going like this, does Jackson County vote differently? The same?
Not because
way too much going on in Jackson County.
It wasn't.
That really hurt too.
It was the public financing part of it that some people were never going to vote for. But then you had the property tax stuff. You had the location change with the Royals in. You had businesses being displaced. You had so many things that went into it. That's why it was a 16-point loss.
Some late announcement.
And you got to make up enough. But if you go Chiefs only, you're asking to make up 8 points on a ballot measure in November.
If you guys are curious, by the way, as a result of that, Frank White did get enough. Well, he didn't. The
side trying to oust him from office
to try to kick him out of office in a recall. They got enough votes for the petition.
Yeah.
If it gets approved by the council, then there'll be an actual recall vote for Frank.
And I don't know the timeline on that. Is that something that happens in August? I have no idea. I have no clue on the timing.
I asked some of our people better in the political sphere than us.
That's right. All right, up next, let's get to what's trending, and then the confidence level if a certain job is won at training camp. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Going out to eat just got a serious upgrade, Kansas City. 30 Hop is your new go-to. An American bar and kitchen with bold flavors, local taps, expansive patios, and an unbeatable happy hour. Now open in Lee Summit and just opened at Miriam's Grand Station. As the proud lunch partner of the Cody and Gold Show, 30 Hop truly has something for everyone. Stop in for lunch, stay for happy hour. 30hop.com. That's 30hop.com. Local beer, American Eats, big patio.
Hey, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. Build a customized renter's policy with American Family Insurance so you can protect your tandem bike on the go. Thief! Oh, he is struggling with that two-seater. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Some exclusions may apply. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hi, this is Megan, your friend and jeweler from Shane Company. Did you know not all warranties are created equal? At Shane Company, our free lifetime warranty is all-inclusive and even protects the diamond in your engagement ring. We can offer such an incredible warranty because our rings are crafted to last a lifetime. As your friend and jeweler, our gift to you is peace of mind. At Shane Company, we also cover unlimited repairs, resizings, and cleanings for free for life, saving you thousands over time. Because a friend always has your back. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Go Yard all baseball season long with Underdog's Champions Game. Join the millions who have already won billions making plays on Underdog and be next to join one of the leading places to make all your sports selections that you can play in your state. To play, all you have to do is download the app. Choose whether you think a player will go higher or lower than their favorite stats, home runs, strikeouts, total bases, and so much more. Once your entry feels good, you can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. That's right. If you bet $1, you could get up to 1,000 times your money, so you really could turn $1 into $1,000 with your baseball knowledge. Download the Underdog app, sign up using that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See underdogfantasy.com/web/deposit-match-terms. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
This summer, Casey's has 89-cent fountain and frozen drinks. But if you don't have 89 cents, you could check your center console, or dig between your couch cushions, or ask Grandma for $1, or just use your credit card. We take those too. 89-cent frozen and fountain drinks at Casey's all summer long. Restrictions may apply. See store for details.
The Black Friday and July event from Dell Technologies is here with great offers on trusted technology. You'll also discover huge deals on new AI-ready laptops like the Dell 14 Plus featuring Intel Core Ultra processors starting at $699.99. Save on top accessories, plus enjoy fast, free shipping and other benefits. Upgrade today by visiting Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really worked so good. makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or online at gomers.com.
Summertime is fun time, and that means it's Gomer's time. Voted #1 KC liquor shop and family owned since 1969, Gomer's Fine Wines and Spirits. Stop by one of their 5 locations. You'll be glad you did.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's trending here on Cody and Gold is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Well, we start with the Royals, who finished that homestand 1-5. Just one win at home in the entire month of June. They're now 6 games under 500, 4.5 back of the final wild card spot. They are out west, beginning a road trip against the Mariners tonight. That's an 8:40 first pitch tonight. Vern's on deck show at 7:30. Going to be a late night. The way the teams play, and it's one of those where like things can get lost pretty quickly in the Royals world if this series goes south as well. But yes, 8:40 first pitch. Then they go out to Arizona on the 4th of July weekend.
I did see, as we're getting close to the All-Star break, Carter Jensen and Frank Mazzucato will be participating in the Futures game as well for All-Star weekend. It's not been going great in Double-A for Frank Mazzucato. Carter Jensen obviously just got the bump to Triple-A. Next up in What's Trending, Jackson County received enough signatures for Frank White Jr.'s recall petition. They needed 39,000 and change votes in order to initiate that. They got a little over 40,000 submitted. The next stage of the process is getting those approved by the council. If that happens, there'll be a vote by Jackson County voters about whether to recall him from his position. Obviously, there's been a lot going on as it relates to the Jackson County property vote. Or property tax stuff. We had brought up a lot because it seemed like he was in the way for some of the council-approved stadium mechanism fundings that were trying to take place at that time, in which there were a lot of disagreements over. But either way, Frank White Jr. could be in a little bit of trouble in his spot over there in Jackson County.
Next up on What's Trending, Phase 2 of All-Star voting is underway. That began at 11 o'clock today. It goes till around noon on Wednesday. Why is that significant? Well, Bobby Wood Jr. and Jacob Wilson are head-to-head. They're the top 2 vote getters right now for the starting shortstop. Jacob Wilson, hell of a season, going to be the Rookie of the Year. Bobby Wood Jr., I think in Kansas City, it's talked like he's been awful. He just hasn't had the MVP-type season that he's had a year ago. But there's a chance you can still bump the vote up there, MLB.com/vote, if you want to guarantee a starting spot. But he's got his work cut out for him with what Jacob Wilson's been able to do in terms of getting votes.
Jacob Wilson is having a better season. Bobby Wood Jr. is the better player. But if you want to vote for him, hey, man, no one's stopping you. Vote for whoever the hell you like. That includes Bobby Wood Jr. Next up on What's Trending, USA Soccer advanced to the Gold Cup semifinals with a shootout win over Costa Rica last night. Not a bad result out of them. You'd mentioned there'd been an upset, at least on the other side.
Yeah, Guatemala.
The U.S. men's national team obviously gearing up for about a year from now when the World Cup will take place in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Playing a little bit better soccer as of late. A lot of questions about whether or not the men's squad's going to be competitive this year in the World Cup.
I know it's not the final roster by any means with the guys that are playing now that'll be in the World Cup, but it's still a nice sign. And the way the bracket now has fallen because of the upset, U.S. has a great chance to get to the Gold Cup final. Yeah. They're going to play Guatemala in the semifinals Wednesday night, and then we'll see if they end up playing. I guess it would be Mexico most likely.
How many times a year do they play Mexico in soccer? It feels like it's like 15. They play like 8 friendlies a year, and now they might play in the Gold Cup final. They play Mexico a lot.
Is it Mexico that's still around, or did I miss something there? Maybe I'm off. Maybe I take back what I said.
I was just pointing out that
I think that's who they would if they win the semi.
The winner of Mexico and Honduras.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
Who play tomorrow night? Or they play Wednesday night.
So Mexico probably wins, and then if the U.S. takes care of business, and their favorites, I think, against Guatemala. Okay, that's what's trending, by the way, here on Cody and Gold.
Not definitively Mexico, but maybe.
That's true. That is
There was another upset. It could be Honduras. Who's to say?
That's very true.
It was in PKs.
Nobody thought Guatemala was going to beat Canada, and they did.
No, it was in penalties for that as well, I believe.
Yeah, a couple shootouts, man.
I don't understand any sport that has that format who doesn't do it all the time. Like, get rid of ties in hockey and just do an immediate shootout. It's super fast, and it's the most fun thing to happen in your sport every time.
Too many games, I think, is probably the answer.
The shootouts are the best.
Oh, they're great.
They're the best. They're so fun.
I mean, the pressure is the best. Now, there's some people also on the flip side that say that's the crazy way to decide.
That's not the version. That's
Yeah. But I'm with you in terms of the
As a
pressure.
casual.
The pressure moment of that in a big match is awesome. Is awesome. But I know there's a lot of people that are like, hey, you played for 90 plus minutes and now you're deciding it based off of this.
But the problem is in a sport in which essentially you could just play keep away, like in soccer, if you're just like, hey, we're playing heavy defense until we get one, they mess up one time. We'll run out here for 45 minutes and just do like, you got to put a little bit of pressure on them, I think, sometimes to score.
You and I, thinking of soccer, you and I believe, have signed up to be, we were asked to be in the KC Current game, and we said, yeah, absolutely. Well, the KC Current media game.
A couple weeks from Saturday.
Drew, did you end up, we forwarded you the email. Did you sign up? We
I
haven't
forgot
talked
to tell
about
you,
this.
I have not because the wife and I have plans on the 12th
fair enough.
is
All
what
right.
the day is.
Interesting.
Okay. You
know.
said that. You said that like. You said that like interesting.
Drew's making plans. He's claiming to have made a plan 3
Is
weeks
it your
out.
anniversary or something?
Having known Drew for like 3 weeks now, I don't think he has a plan. Or I think he made the plan after being invited to soccer.
No, for somebody who, when you get the schedule, I'm sure you know this, Cody, with the restaurants and stuff. Like, you could always call off and stuff, but she's working the weekends, as you do a lot in the restaurant industry as a server.
So she's got a random weekend day off.
Well, she wanted to get some time to go out to eat at some
Fair
point.
enough.
And she said, hey, how about this upcoming Saturday? I was like, well, sure. I didn't even question it, actually, as a matter of fact. She said, you want to go out to eat on the 12th? I didn't even say, well, we got the soccer game. I was like, you know what? Yes.
A lot of people in the restaurant industry just eat on Mondays.
Let's go ahead.
Anyway, July 12th, you and I, we don't know if we're on the same team or anything. We find out tomorrow, I think.
We're drafted
actually.
tomorrow, yeah.
Have you guys ever been on opposite teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been on the same team and opposite teams.
Yeah. So we'll find out if we're on the same team or not. I'm guessing because it's a draft format, maybe we won't be.
Ooh.
So we'll see. That could be a lot of fun. July 12th, we'll be out at playing in the
Do you guys
media
know
game.
who the captains are?
Yeah. Is it Mackenzie Nelson and is it Jillian Carroll? Is that right?
Yeah, Jillian Carroll.
I believe those are the two captains.
So if
Now,
Mackenzie
my understanding is
doesn't-
they
hold on.
already drafted their teams. We're just unveiling it tomorrow.
Okay, so hey,
That's what I thought.
I think the next time.
Yeah, I thought the press release or whatever.
This will cost for some fun content. The next time we have Mackenzie, and if she doesn't pick one of you or neither of you,
Yeah, no
then
kidding.
it has to come up at some point.
Let's
correct?
get her in on Wednesday and be like, the hell?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, that's
here?
right.
So I think tomorrow night. Are you going to that tomorrow night, by the way?
To the draft?
Yeah.
I'm not currently planning on going to that.
Putting you on the
Mostly because
spot.
I had forgotten. Maybe.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying I can't.
It's
so
not far from
50,
you. It's
50.
closer for you than it is for me.
Yeah. Oh, it's real close to me. Honestly.
It's at their training facility.
Yeah, which is just off of 635. I should pass it when
It
I
said family members are
when I go to
welcome
work.
or whatever.
Oh, maybe just bring the kids.
You can take your kids, yeah.
I was pretty tired after that sleepover, man. I don't,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
I don't know if I.
You
I
act
don't know
like
if
you were out there
You were
slinging
exhausted?
burgers and cooking and doing everything. Yeah?
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for.
Is your wife exhausted as well from that?
Yes, I was not prepared for. The
Who did
amount
more work, your wife or you?
for the party?
Yeah.
I honestly, this is going to sound like such a cop out. Pretty equal.
Okay.
So here's the
Good
exact
answer. Good answer.
Here's
That's
the
the right answer.
I'm not going to just say she did more work. I don't think that's the answer. I think that we did an equal amount of work. We did the shopping. We did the shopping for the party together. So I know that was an equal amount of work that we put in. We were both working on the house during the day and the day before. So I would say that was relatively equal. And then in the cake making process, I made the cakes and the frosting, and she did the side. She did like the base layer of the frosting. I did the decoration part of the frosting because we were both doing different things at different times. And she made the little like placard sign to go on top. So even that was a shared responsibility.
So it's like some fun bonding time along with also just doing it.
Text
Yeah,
line
it's
though
great.
is just they're saying Drew's still lying to us, but I don't know. We're going to trust Drew. They're
I
saying
mean, it is hard to go out on a Saturday night.
Do you want me to
I
take
think
do you
it
want me
makes-
to take a picture while
No,
I'm out
no,
at dinner?
Actually,
I
your
think-
excuse sounded very real. So
I think it makes a lot of sense that if she's not normally off on a Saturday night, you guys want to have a nice Saturday night together. It makes
I
sense to
didn't
me.
believe him until he gave the answer, and then it sounded that he came. I don't think he came up with that off the cuff. I think that was the real answer.
And look, I could have said when she said, "Do you want to go out to dinner?" I could have said, "Well, I've got the media game."
You could have done both.
for the current.
Could have done both.
I don't know how that would have gone over. So I was like, you know what? Yes, let's
She
go
could have
ahead and
cheered
have it.
you
There's part of me
on.
that's just like, you guys are in
She
your
cheered you on.
You guys are in your 20s with no kids. You could have gone to the media game and had dinner at 8:30 or 9.
That also, I guess, is true.
The days of me eating dinner at 8:30 are so. I eat dinner at 5 more than I eat dinner at 8:30. I can't go to dinner at 8:30.
Yeah, that's
not unless my kids are having an overnight babysitter. Otherwise, I'm coming home at what? 11:30? No chance. Too late.
There you go.
From the 816, Cody doing the cake decorating is somehow the most feminine thing he's ever done. I don't think that's the most feminine thing I've ever done.
So it's still not the most.
Oh, not the most. I was like, I don't know if that's. It's just cake decorating. People decorate cakes.
I was going to say,
Cake Boss. Have you not seen the show Cake Boss?
I gotta
think
say,
that's a heavy reach.
I thought
Cake Boss.
Considering I didn't know how it was going to go, I thought the
I
cake
saw the
looked
photo.
pretty
It looked
good.
nice. I did see the photo.
I thought for
looked
what
good.
she asked for a half green, half pink, wicked cake. I gotta say, I thought it looked pretty good. And the decorating part is still not my strong suit. Like when you use the frosting and the little piping
Fondant?
bag and the whole
Fondant?
thing.
Did you need
that's just-
fondant on
no,
there?
that's just buttercream frosting.
Okay, no
And I used a little
fondant.
piping bag to like make the fancy flourishes.
Fondant
Not-
doesn't taste as good as the
Fondant
icing.
tastes like trash.
Yeah, but if you're trying to make, I mean, unless he was going to build the witch on top of the out of fondant, you know
That's
what I mean?
not what I was trying to do. I was just trying to make a two-tone cake.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to see the photo, it's up on social media.
Okay, there you go.
I thought it turned out pretty good. It was chocolate cake with vanilla buttercream frosting.
Here in a couple weeks, we're going to be up in St. Joe. We're going to be doing 11 shows. Chiefs training camp will be underway. If you guys are going to be at camp, be sure to stop by our tent there. We're in the same spot as we normally are, right next to, I think it's the High V tent there, the first set of bleachers, right when you walk in through security and everything like that. And we were thinking about, of course, the number one conversation around camp is going to be the left tackle spot and Josh Simmons' availability. What does he look like? You brought something up from last year. You said because of what happened last year, maybe it'll change how you feel if something occurs this year.
I think I'm going to go in with a lot more trepidation. Not pessimism. That's not the word I would use. But I am going to proceed significantly, Gold, more cautiously than what I did last year. Last year, Kingsley Suamate-Eo won the starting left tackle job in like 2 weeks against a guy who had made a handful of starts, not a ton, 17 starts in his career for Wanya Morris. And I thought, wow, beat out the vet, beat him out quick, praise is high, feelings are good, vibes are good. I'm feeling like this is the best possible news, and it only speaks to how good he'll be that he won the job out of camp and won it easily, it felt. Because of that, if Joshua Simmons wins the job out of camp, I'm going to proceed cautiously. It's not to say that it can't mean really good things, but he's beating out a guy with 15 career starts. I know he's a first-round pick versus a second-round pick, but he's beating out a fifth-round guy instead of a third-round guy. He's not beating out a full-time starter. I am going to proceed very cautiously on the Simmons camp coming out, as in not taking it to mean that he's all-world because he won the job week one. I made that mistake with Kingsley. I'm just going to proceed with caution. I'm not saying it can't mean that.
Yeah.
But last year, I think we all got caught up in the hype that was he won the job, he's the goods.
Sure,
And
yeah.
that got proven wrong very quickly in Kingsley's case.
No doubt. Yeah, no, so I guess the unease I get, I would say a couple things. One, I don't think anybody, I would hope not, if he wins the job. And we all thought Kingsley was good because he won the job. But I would push back. I don't think anybody thinks Josh Simmons is stepping in and being Trent Williams right away in week one.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, he's very good.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be an all-pro immediately. I think my biggest concern is he available day one of camp, truly, like Andy Reid has said, and therefore has a chance to win the job. So that's the first thing. The part that to me is different this go around, if he wins the job out of camp, is I understand that one was a fifth rounder and a third rounder. We looked up the amount of snaps that were played.
Very similar.
In terms of actual grade from Pro Football Focus, Jalen Moore was considerably better than Wanya Morris. I know we all have our issues with PFF.
I looked up
but,
career Pro Football Focus grades. It's not quite that big of a divide for career, but last year it was.
So that'd be the other thing. And the other part is, look, Josh Simmons was a first-round pick. Just flat-out first-round pick. And a lot of people were looking at Josh Simmons, and I know you disagree with this, like, fundamentally, I guess. But Josh Simmons, it's more about injury than ability. And that's why he was available at pick 31 in the draft, and why a lot of people thought he was going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft until they were worried that he wouldn't be available for training camp, which is why I'm still skeptical that he won't be available for camp. Mm-hmm. But the notion of his concern was not, this guy can't play in the league. He doesn't have the ability. He doesn't have the length. He doesn't have the strength. Nobody's ever questioned that.
I'll say there were more questions about Kingsley's rawness than Simmons. So, no argument there. But I don't think there's, again, some of this goes back to I think we hyperinflate, what someone would be without injury. Because I've watched a lot of great players who were injured coming into the draft. Still, Jalen Carter, who still get taken in the top 10, top 5. And I understand his injury is more significant. But I watch injured players every year
Jalen Carter was
who
not
were
an
injured
injury,
going
though.
into it still get taken in the top 10 of the NFL draft. So I don't think Simmons was going in the top 10 if his just his legs were fine.
Yeah, like Jalen Carter was a random ankle injury, and then he had the traffic, the car issue or whatever. That's why if Josh Simmons had an injury where everybody definitively said 100% he's available for training camp, then I think you and I both realize he's not there at 31.
No, but I think he's there at like 23, 22.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know the real answer. I'm just basing it off of like the guys we've had on the show, the draft experts, Matt Miller, et cetera. These were guys that have done this for a living, and they all believe he was a top 20 pick. That's you and I are basing it off of that more than anything else.
But a lot of us fundamentally thought Kingsley was a top 40 pick. He was picked at 60. And
but
so
you would also agree, we've done this long enough and done draft shows.
Inconsistent.
But we also know what I was going to say, inconsistent, but in particular where. Pick 25 to 40, it's a crapshoot in terms of who goes where. Like most people agree that's a big swing. Like top 10 picks, usually people are pretty consistent on who they think top 10 picks are, top 15 picks are. And a lot of people thought he was right in that fringe.
But I guess
if he was healthy.
Sure. And again, it goes back to we can't prove it either way. So it's not really, like we don't know where he would have gone. It just feels like one of those, it's not like the loser's lament, but it feels like one of those things I've had to hear a million times over when you get, not you, just people generally get too excited over players because they're like, this guy was, Drew's said it, like other people said it, like the guy they took in the third round, he's a first round pick, didn't get here at USC. Like, no, he wasn't. If he was a first round pick, he wouldn't have gone 60 picks later just because he had a knee injury.
You would admit, and I mean, not all the time, you would admit that does happen though sometimes. Trey Smith. He had the heart issues.
That's not an injury, but yes, I understand. That to me is like, that's a real medical problem. Like,
but that he would have been a top 2-round pick probably.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe like a third or a fourth or something if it wasn't for like a real heart condition. I view those a little bit different than like the injury part of it. I told you the one that like when I was covering the Chiefs full time in this town, multiple people were like, Aaron Murray would have been a first or second round pick if it wasn't for the ACL. That's why he should be the starter for the Chiefs. And I'm like,
they also didn't watch Georgia football.
Somebody might have said that. Look, I was not working with you at the time or whatever. I don't know if that was
they definitely said that.
The Chiefs might have. I don't know if that was the consensus thought in Kansas City that Aaron Murray would have been a first round pick.
I'm not saying it's everybody.
Look, you and I can pull up a text. We get crazy texts all the time. I can say this one guy said he was gonna like a Hall of Famer. Like,
yes,
I can find somebody that said it to me. I don't know if that was a consensus opinion.
I'm saying it was multiple people at the time, and I'm not claiming it's consensus by any means.
It does happen. Though. You're right.
As a personal philosophy, I think that there is way too much made of. If it wasn't for this one thing, this guy would have gone so much higher. Because we talk about that with Sanders, Shedeur Sanders. It wasn't just that he had a couple of bad interviews or he would have been a second-round pick. There's clearly something fundamentally wrong with him as a prospect, or he wouldn't have gone with fifth. Where the hell did he go? Fifth round?
I think that's where he settled at.
He wouldn't have gone that much later over this. It's like we sometimes inflate them higher, and it's tougher at the back of the first round.
But with the Sanders example, though, like nobody's dispute. Clearly, I think everybody agrees now that clearly it was more than. Like, is there anybody out there still saying they think he was a first-round talent?
No, but like. Well, Mel Kiper, maybe.
Wow, he might be the only one. That was so weird. That was so. That whole weekend, it was bizarre. It was almost like he had. Imagine if it was a stock. Like he had $1 million invested in this guy, and he was like knew he was losing millions by the second, just like he was Shedeur.
I just think that there's a point of I'm not even saying he still can't be a great player. I'm still very optimistic about Joshua Simmons as a prospect.
Yeah,
just like I was about Kingsley. I'm just going to proceed.
That's fair.
Significantly more cautiously than I did last year.
Yeah, look, and if he wins the job again, I'm not telling you that he's going to be an all-pro year one.
No, I know.
It's just that, like, I think the also on the flip side, just because Kingsley failed, we also shouldn't act like Josh Simmons would fail.
And if Simmons doesn't win the job out of week one, I'm not going to bury him either.
Well, if he doesn't win the job, let me ask you this, a little different of part of the conversation.
Telling me he's healthy.
If he doesn't win the job, my guess is he's on the PUP list to start the season. I really believe that.
So you're officially in the camp that you're saying if he's healthy, he wins the job.
I think so.
That opens up the whole Jawan Taylor thing. Although, again, Jalen Moore, I think we're pretending like he can't serve as a backup tackle.
He's just overpaid.
Knowing that he's been a backup
yeah.
tackle every single second of his career, except for the moments in which Trent Williams was hurt last year.
I think people just look at the dollar amount and they say, like, you know, he's overpaid to be a backup kind of thing.
Sure.
But hey, you know what?
But if I'm paying my starting left tackle combined, 2 years, if I'm paying my tackles combined, I don't know, $22 million because Simmons makes $2 million, then I don't really care.
Yeah, and I think Cody too. You know, the Jalen Moore thing, they signed him because they couldn't be 100% sure they were going to be able to draft Josh Simmons. They couldn't be 100% sure he was going to be there at 31, or that he wouldn't have gone off the board much earlier or whatever. So that was their, hey, we couldn't get Simmons, we've got Jalen Moore kind of thing.
And they didn't know they were going to get Simmons.
They wanted to throw numbers at left tackle. They did. They've got a couple options. Beats the alternative of not having any options where it's just automatically handed the job to blank.
Jalen Moore was borderline the cheapest available left tackle option there that at least secured you a left tackle.
He was
if you didn't get Simmons at 31.
After seeing what was it, Dan Moore or whatever his name was, went to Tennessee and got a huge
4
deal.
for 80 or whatever.
And then once we knew, oh my gosh, Ravens, Stanley wasn't actually available.
Yeah,
Jalen Moore was really the best option they could have signed at that given moment.
I don't think they take Simmons if they actually signed Stanley.
Oh well, you wouldn't have to do that in the first round. Nope.
They'd have just gone a different route.
Yep.
Even at pick 31, unless they were thinking he was Jawan Taylor's future.
Sure. All right. What about tonight?
Which part?
Well, I guess that could be a lot of things. What about tonight? Mariners, Royals. What about tonight? 8:40 first pitch. I know there's a lot of people that are just checked out, and I get it. This team has won one home game at home in the month of June. I told you, based off of what I said they needed to do on the homestand, if they were 0-6,
you think they're on like thin ice?
Yeah, they have to take 3 or 4 against Seattle, or it's over.
If it's the break the ice game, and you're just down to that 1-4 square.
3
in the
or
corner,
4, or it's fully over. And that's not me telling you I want them to go out and buy rental players today. It's just I think 4.5 out. It's that buffer point for me. I said if they get you get north of 5 out and they're 4.5 now, then it's over. So 3, you got to take 3 or 4 against Seattle.
Somebody else loses
because admittedly, as much as everybody's frustrated. And this is not a conversation about, like, what could they do if they made the playoffs? That's not what we're debating. We're just talking about, can they be in the mix